Good evening, model railroaders, and welcome back to the Second Section podcast, where it's just regular folks talking about model railroading. I am your host, Andy Dorsch, and joining me this evening is my co-host, Mike Ostertag. Mike, how are you doing this evening?
I am tired, man. I have had 2 weeks ago was a week to remember, and we'll get into that a little bit in the show. And this week has just been dragging on for work. Yeah. I mean, and then I go on vacation next week. That's why I think it's dragging on, is because I'm looking forward to going on vacation.
Yep.
Yeah, whatever. But yeah, it's been a very productive week for me. Anybody that follows my Farland Terminal page knows that, and the Second Section page, I've been very productive. So, yeah, doing well. How about you?
Hey, you know what? Not too bad. We got a full house here on screen tonight. I mean, I'm good now that so the summer of George is over. We took some time off from recording because of summer activities, right?
Yeah.
Can't spend the whole summer here in the upper Midwest in the basement because you only get 3 weeks of it, and then winter's right around the corner. So yeah, but we got a pretty awesome crew here this evening. So we have Tony Cook here from Model Railroad News White River Publications. Welcome, Tony. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, Andy. Yeah, we just had the St. Louis RPM a couple weeks ago. So, and listen to this guy talking about how tired he is when he was off 2 weeks ago. Then he says he's going on vacation again next week. It's like, wow, where's my violin at? Let me, oh, man.
You ran me ragged at St. Louis. I mean, that's what it was. It was just, that was a heck of a lot of fun. That weekend was so much fun. So
yeah, in the Second Section after dark, you'll have to ask me what my dad always used to say about people who complain about his heart pumping purple something for you.
Right?
Yeah. So, well, it's great to have you back on the show, Tony. Welcome. We have some familiar faces here. 5, 6, maybe 7 time they get the free meatball sub for sure. We have Chris Palmieri and Doug Watts from Home Shops back with us this evening. Welcome back, fellas. Chris, how you doing?
I'm doing great, and thank you for the extra section of the Second Section tonight. I think we've got some fun stuff to talk about, so I appreciate you doing that for us.
Yeah, you bet. Doug, welcome back. How are you doing this evening?
Good. Good to be here, and always a good time here on the Second Section. So definitely appreciate you opening us up for us this evening.
Yeah, and then we have a couple. Yeah, you're welcome, Doug. We have a couple of new faces here as well. We have David Rangel. Is that correct?
That is correct. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Welcome to the show.
It's going to be fun to be here.
Yeah, awesome. Why don't you? We all know Tony, Chris, and Doug. Why don't you just give us just a brief intro about you and your modeling interests?
Well, I will admit that I have played with HO trains since probably the age of, I want to say 8. And a friend of mine that is still my friend since the age of 5 have been doing this kind of jointly of playing and that's what we were doing. We just had our train set and cobbled stuff together and ran it around in a circle, and we didn't really know what was what, but this was I grew up in the days of Tycho, Mantua, what are some of Athearn is still around if I'm not mistaken. Lionel had a little couple of HO stuff, but not very much. So all that stuff is lost to no telling where it's at these days. But from what I've seen on online. The hobby has really incredibly progressed to such detail that it astounds me. And of course, the prices have probably been astounding too. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, welcome to the show, David. We're glad to have you with us this evening. Looking forward to chatting.
Thank you.
And then we also have here Dennis Brennan. Welcome, Dennis. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for inviting me. I'm really excited to be here.
Well, we're very happy to have you. I think you're a first timer here with the section crew. Why don't you go ahead, just like David? Why don't you shoot us a brief intro about yourself, modeling, and your modeling interests?
Okay. Well, like many of you, I started. My dad bought me my first Lionel train set when I was 4 years old.
Oh, wow.
It's a Scout set. And although I wouldn't run it today, I still have it.
Wow.
And there isn't any amount of money that would ever tear that out of my hands. But based on that, trains became my hobby. And then right now I classify myself as a high railer. And for those of you who might wonder what in the heck is that, basically I use 3-rail track, but the modeling is scale. And some of my photos, you'll realize that it doesn't look like toy trains. There's a big difference between toy trains and what I'm doing. And I'm not the only one doing that. There's other people out there doing it. And now I'm the proud owner and operator of Brennan's Model Railroading. Small company. It's just my wife and myself, and we sell ballast and some scenery products, and I manufacture kits, building kits, which you'll see later on. So you'll have to make sure to give us the contact info for you and your little business so we can spread the word about that here on the second section. All right. I'm glad to do it. It's very simple.
There you
go. Brennan's Model RR.com.
Easy
That's
enough.
my last name with an S, Model RR.com.
All right. I'll get something in the chat here for everyone to click on here. And then I'll have a banner running up on the screen here. And then thanks for that introduction. And then we have Carrie Williams here. Welcome, Carrie. I see you.
Hello.
Hey, how are you?
Great. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, welcome to the second section. So I think you're a first timer with us as well. Would you do the same song and dance that David and Dennis went ahead and just do a little brief introduction for us about yourself and your modeling interests?
Sure. Pretty much been a lifelong collector of trains. Started with a Lionel tin plate. Started mowing lawns when I was a teenager to afford this addiction, and collecting primarily tin plate, and then primarily antique trains, standard gauge, Ives, Lionel, and then sold my collection when I was 21 to buy a house, and then got back into the hobby roughly 15 years ago, again collecting tin plate. In the interim, I was collecting amusement park trains. Live steam and diesel,
Wow.
15-inch, 12-inch, that type of thing.
Really?
But when I got and doing the research, I love research. I love connecting dots to see kind of how the hobby kind of grows from one point to the other. And so doing the research on the amusement park trains, I started studying the history of the advent of scale models. Starting with Model Maker. It was a magazine started in 1926, and how the initial hobby was going from tin plate to scale in live steam, and then also the introduction of scale electric stuff. So that kind of spurred the interest to go from tin plate, additionally to add scale, because there's such a fascinating history about it and how one kind of plays off the other. So ultimately the scale world ended up wagging as a small tail, ended up wagging the dog, because turned the toy train world into far more of a scale world starting in the mid 30s. So I started collecting the O scale roughly about 9 years ago. Everything before 1955. I kind of use that as a cutoff line. I like to have things that are older than me, so I can call them antique and not include myself in that.
That's
and
good.
then
Good.
the problem with doing research is you're tempted by everything else that's in the magazine. So I have periodicals that I have full runs of, and so as you're going through and you're learning about O scale, then of course you're learning about double O and HO, some 1 gauge, and so I started adding all the other scales. So it's a fun history again to see how they play off of each other, and again mostly just all vintage. I have an adversity towards plastics, so I don't go there, but pretty much I stop in the 50s and going back to the beginning of O scale with 1926.
Wow.
And
Holy cow.
I was fortunate to be offered through, when I admitted having dinner with a tin plater at York one time, that I had actually touched scale. Ed Prendeville harped up and said, "You want any of that Delta line stuff?" And that led me down this rabbit hole where I've been able to acquire a good share of Delta lines and put it back together. So later in the fall, we'll give a tour of what I've been able to put together and kind of the history of Frank Ellison's Delta line.
Outstanding.
Very cool.
This is going to be a fantastic show this evening. I mean, it's always great when we have Chris and Doug here from Home Shops, because I get to spend a little money. That's always fun. And then we have Tony here as well. And just I think, just with the topic that we're going to have tonight, it's right up his alley with the collector type stuff. So outstanding. We got 127 people and counting here on live on the show this evening. Good show for us coming back off a summer break. Section crew, let us know that you're out there. If you have questions for anyone on the show this evening at any point in time, get them in the chat, so that way we can get them in front of the panel this evening. Before we get kicked off, our show is going to operate. Tony and Mike are going to talk about the St. Louis RPM and the hijinks that went on there, and then we'll get into the Home Shops and the Delta lines discussion at the end. But before we get started here, I just want to give a quick shout out to all the people who support us on Patreon. So you can see here, I think we're up to about almost 70, maybe 70 some members now supporting us here. Thank you so much for essentially keeping the lights on for us here at the second section. So well done. All right. So now I have to be quiet now and let Mike and Tony talk about what happened at the Waffle House.
No, we're not talking about the Waffle House.
No, we're not going to do that.
No, we're not doing that right now. This is a family friendly show.
Okay. I that's right. So why don't you guys go ahead and talk? So we often talk about freelance model railroading quite a bit on the second section here. So you guys just got back from the St. Louis Railroad Prototype Modelers Meet or Convention that they have annually in Collinsville, Illinois. So
yes.
you Mike and Tony you guys have been tangling up for years on this.
And we bring Shane Mason along with, because that's only because that's Tony's driver. I mean, that's
Poor Shane. Shane gets picked on, but he's actually the assistant editor at Model Railroad News. But because he drives the car around that weekend, you would think, according to Mike, that yes, that he's a chauffeur. But
Yeah.
no.
But
no, we had a great time. And I don't know how many years we've been getting together and doing that. But when I saw you guys were coming back from your summer break, I wanted to just share a few pictures from the RPM, and it was a great time. It's always fun. We see Mike Ostertag once a year, and for a lot of people that's about the limit that you're going to want. And so we're glad to do that for his wife Joy. We always get thank you cards of, oh, you have no idea,
I'm supposed to tell you yours is in the mail already.
Checks in the mail.
Checks in the mail.
Yeah. But no, we had a great time. We would meet up on Thursday nights always and have barbecue, and the show is Friday and Saturday for the there we go. That's Shane is the break.
Oh yeah, interesting time to have just joined. Yeah, it's too bad he wasn't on here. He could clarify the Waffle House story for you.
Exactly. But yeah, that's Thursday night's barbecue, and then Friday the RPM meet gets started first thing, and it runs through Saturday. And we did Thursday evening. We did a layout tour visit, and then we did again Friday evening too.
Yeah, the one on Thursday evening was SN3,
which I had never seen, and
this was phenomenal.
Phenomenal layout. These are in the St. Louis area, of course, and the guys open up, their layouts, and but the SN3 was really wild to see. Nicely done, really neat layout.
His layout, not only was his layout impressive, but his shop was just walking it was outstanding. The shop, I mean, you could have made anything in that shop. And then on top of that, behind that, he had a 10-seat modeling room where you could have 10 different people in that room doing different things for the layout at one time.
Yeah. I mean, it was slick, very professional.
Yeah, I mean, each one had its own station and its own. I mean, it was a lot of fun. That layout tour was a lot of fun. Wait a minute,
you should have seen. He was in his second section shirt. I think
I did not wear the gray one this year. I wore the black one.
Okay, so there were a lot of people that came up and said hey to him and everything, and liked listening or seeing you guys show. And then he wore the Farland Terminal shirt on Saturday, and I've got a picture of him in that. And there were people that recognized it too. That home shop pickle. That home shop's car was just spectacular that Rapido made for him of Farland Terminal. So
that turned out really, really good.
But I'll share these pictures here if I can figure out how to do this, which I think I can.
One thing I would like to add while Tony is doing that is the attendance was, what did they say, 882, Tony? Is that right around where it was?
I haven't heard officially. I haven't checked in with Lonnie Bathurst, but when I talked to him Saturday, he said the Friday numbers were tremendous, and that Saturday, looked just Saturday usually is a slightly busier show, although Friday does really well. You'd think a lot of guys would be working, but I think a lot of guys play hooky and come in, for the show. And like the Zuckers, I talked to Dave Zucker at Spring Creek, and he said Friday was a really strong day too, that you never know what to expect when it's not a weekend day. But it was a great show. A lot of
the way the thing was set up, the way the venue was set up, unlike other years, it didn't seem that busy when you looked around.
No,
it did not seem. You didn't have overwhelming crowds in any one spot. You didn't have. I thought it was laid out really well. It usually is, but for some reason this year the layout just seemed to be. It flowed really, really well, and people were just. There were so many conversations going on, and it was. It was a great weekend.
It is such a great meet, and that's Shane there in the red shirt putting out his in-scale models for the display tables are on one half of the RPM, and then the other half is the vendors and such. I really thought this year one of the things, I had a couple of people email me afterwards, we saw lots and lots more 3D print and smaller type manufacturers, the State Tool and Dies like Kevin Tully with his models, that Gotham Marine, ABR models, just a lot of companies that were fun to see a lot of the different kits that they put out. And the big guys were there too, like Rapido had samples on that new Halliburton car, the CF7s. Broadway Limited was there and showed off some of their new stuff. So lots of big companies too. But
Tom Garza went from 2 tables to 7 tables and probably could have used another 3.
His sign stuff. Yeah. That
scale
signs.
Lord.
Scalesigns.com.
Scalesigns.com.
His stuff is just spectacular. But
I actually stopped and took pictures of 2 other signs that I didn't see on his collection. I'm going to send them to him. And they are, and hopefully next year they'll be down there at that thing. Because one is a golf cart crossing. A golf cart crossing, and then a low. How does this? Basically, it's a picture of a low boy going over the top of a grade crossing.
Oh, I've seen those down in Texas where it says like low. Basically, because you can't get up and over with a long trailer without getting stuck on the tracks. Yeah, that's a really good sign.
And that's the first I had ever seen those, and I'm like, oh, I got to stop and get a picture of that and send it to Tom. It's like, because that's the stuff and that's one thing about him is if you have a sign that you have or you see, take a picture of it, send it to him, he'll make it.
Yeah,
no kidding.
Yeah, he'll make it. And there's going to be a sign coming out that one day, maybe, we'll see. Like I said, this is a family friendly show, so it's a very good. It's going to be a very interesting sign, and it's all Shane Mason's fault. So
to be continued if and when it gets produced.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is over. Saturday morning, we do have Waffle House, which we talked about. We always meet up at the Waffle House and have breakfast, and we go over to the RPM for a bit, and then for lunch we take off and hit some of the rail yard stuff. And this is just past the Anheuser-Busch Brewery, south side of St. Louis City, and this is the old Manufacturers Railway stuff. And this is always a fun spot to hit for just some of the odd power that's sitting there. Like, look at that old CN Jeep 9. I was surprised. I thought was really neat. We didn't get to see enough of the Progressive Rail T4s, and boy, I think because there weren't that many built, but they had the CSX, they had these demonstrator in the Caterpillar colors. I don't think we saw any of the Union Pacific ones, but boy, if you wanted to see T4 of the EMD Progressive, they were all out there lined up waiting for whatever their fate will be, I guess.
I believe these all came from Mexico too, right? I think because they had the window cages on.
A lot of them had, the cages over the front, like that one you can kind of see has got, and there's cages on the side. Yeah. But yeah, really cool.
Yeah.
And then I thought one of the neatest things, this is just north of the Gateway Arch on the Missouri side. We spun around to a yard that had an old CF7 in ADM Archer Daniels Midland paint, and that was really cool. I can't tell you last time I've seen a CF7 anyplace, and it was sitting there. Yeah.
What a find.
But neat stuff. And I wanted to just share some of that and talk about how fun that RPM is and say hey to everybody, because you're starting your kind of fall season here. And with the home shop guys on, I wanted to say that V&O C30-7 is probably, I think, the favorite model I bought this year. That, I get a lot of samples and other stuff, and there's a lot of neat models, but there's always something that seems to catch my attention that, man, I really got to have one of those. And I thought it was so well done. I mean, the Rapido C30-7 is a beautiful model anyway, but that blue and white V&O was really, really awesome. And it was exciting to see that when I saw the announcement for it, I got excited that they were going to have some diesels. So that's very cool. Very cool.
Thank you. Yeah, that was a fun project. A little nervous of a project because it was our first.
I bet. Yeah.
I think we've got 2, maybe 3 left out of 198 of them. So I would call that a successful run, and we'll be announcing more locomotives here at the Freelance Forum.
Wow. Well, for a guy who never takes the stuff out of the box, I did take that out of the box because I wanted to do pictures of it for Model Railroad News to share it, and it did actually go on my test track, and it did run for an afternoon. So it did actually. Yes, it was too cool not to actually run it. So yeah, it was very cool. The other thing before I take off, the big thing we announced, White River Productions was, and this is not life size, but the Gateway Western book.
See, I was told at the I was told at the RPM that
That's
was this was life size.
No.
And I was told by multiple people that it was the life size, and I'm not sure.
You're the one who tries to cash those big novelty checks
too.
Yeah.
I have a whole back seat just like Happy Gilmore. I have a whole back seat full of them.
Well, that's a large print edition, but this is a great book. Ryan Crawford and James Lunard and Matthew Fricks have worked on this, and I've been doing the layout for it. It's going to be a hardcover book that'll be out this fall, and that was announced at the RPM. Covers Chicago, Missouri, and Western's history as well as Gateway Western. So very
I love
cool.
it.
And the other new thing I had, and I've got a copy of this that I want to send out for the second section crew. And Andy, you can take care of doing the giveaway on this. This is my HO Collector Annual for the year. 116 pages, all of the AHM freight cars, from the wild stuff like the helium car and other things that they imported from all over the world. And I dug through my collection and kept buying things on eBay to fill in holes until I had everything to put that together. So I've got a copy of that I will send out to the you'll do a winner for us, I hope, later tonight, and send me the address information.
Yeah, so what we'll do right now is in the comments here, let's put in #collector in the comments. So anyone in the show tonight, type in #collector, right?
Can I win? Can I get one?
No, you cannot,
No.
Mike. All employees or
I'm supposed to
not
be
even
paid?
really employees, like just interns that we have are
I'm
not
an intern.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah. Volunteers, any volunteers associated with the show, we can't have on their mic. So
honestly, Tony, honestly, I've said this in shows past and about this. It's always, that weekend is always very special.
Absolutely.
It is the highlight of my summer to come over there and see you and Shane and to get reacquainted with how things are going. And this year was especially good for some personal reasons between the three of us that we've discussed and stuff. So I mean, it was a phenomenal weekend, and it was now I'll be perfectly honest, I'm not sure if I'm going to go next year.
Yeah, he started threatening this, I think.
I'm not sure if I'm going to go. I'm not going to go.
That last year.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I'm not 100%
I
sure.
said we probably do St. Louis, and we got to start doing the Greeley, the Colorado one.
Yes.
I want to do that.
We have to do that. I'm going to that. I am going to that. I was semi-voluntold to do that. By one of our guests tonight. I was kind of voluntold that I have to be there. I wasn't given really an option. So I mean, it was
Doug.
Yeah, Doug. He's so pushy on stuff like this. He's the muscle. That's I mean, honestly, he is. But I mean, Tony, honestly, I mean, I don't think there's a weekend where I laugh more and learn more at the same.
We have so much
my
fun.
Goodness.
It really is. He talks about it all year long. We have a great time. The reason I want to come on tonight, though, is to let all the second section folks know I was there, saw it with my own eyes. Mr. 1/64th scale, Mr. You can have my S scale when you pry it from my cold dead hands as a bumper sticker on the back of his trucks, I think. But anyhow, he had 2, if not 3 bags full of tangent,
after 4,
all this HO stuff. And I would look and I'm like, okay, man, last time the bag was Ather and this time the bag's all tangent. Like, what? And it's all HO. and I'm sure he's talked about this, or if not, he will, tell the world about this at some point when he's ready. But he's doing S scale and HO. I'm so happy to see him come into the HO world, and it was really odd though for the guy who there's never anything for him to buy outbought me at I didn't carry a tenth of the stuff out to the car that he did. I mean, it was
two
HO
trips the one day.
HO with a passion, and I was impressed. So it was very cool.
Well, one thing that I did learn about this whole situation of me and go to my Farland Terminal Incorporated page on Facebook, and you'll see the HO stuff that's going on there. And I do post it on the second section as well. But I have learned that having left HO and then trying to come back is a very expensive endeavor. So, it's restocking has been very sobering is a good way of putting it.
And he would say every time, well, I need a couple of corn syrup tank cars. I need a couple of grain hoppers that are going to be carrying like the hops or the barley to the brewery. Like, I just need a couple of things. And once I get this, I'm not going to have to buy anything else. And it's like,
yeah. And then I walk by Red Ball Hobbies and they come back and, oh yeah, look at that. There's 2 more CNW cars sitting there. I'm like, I need those bulk cars.
I don't want to brag, but I think I can take a little bit of credit for that restocking.
You can take all the credit for it if you want.
Since we started coming on this show, and I've heard the comments before. I mean, both Andy and Mike, when we do a show and we announce something new, and we're going to do that today, both of them on the show, they're placing their orders, and I've seen folks they're not really placing orders. Yeah, they place the orders, and I've every time. So as I start seeing, oh, he ordered that, it's going to happen. I knew it was going to happen.
I think you guys are part of the reason you made that Farland turn. If I'd have known all it took to get Mike to move from S to HO was to put his freelance railroad on a boxcar. Well, Chris, I'd have written the check back when you did your first run of home shop stuff, and we'd have made him a boxcar. I had no idea that he's like, well, I don't want to do it until somebody makes my railroad. And it's like,
the joke's on Mike. We're going to announce the Farland Terminal Z-scale car today. See what he does.
Perfect.
Man.
Yeah.
Anyway, I know you guys got a lot of stuff going tonight, and I don't want to monopolize the time. When I knew you're coming back from your summer break, I wanted to say, hey, give out a copy of the HO Collector, tell the home shop guys how much I love that V&O unit, and just let everybody know that Mike behaved himself, was generally well made. I didn't have Shane on the way home asking me, what does this mean? Or what's this? Oh, that's a bad word. Don't say that. Yeah. Nope. Yeah. So it was very, very uneventful, other than all the HO that just I had to keep, my jaw kept hitting the floor. It's like, whoa.
Hey, Tony, the one thing, though, is I really wish that this was a Z-scale announcement, because, sorry, Shane, still no N-scale.
Anyway, thanks for letting me on tonight. You can see all the White River stuff I do, diesel era.
Thanks for coming on, Tony.
Collector, Auto Renews, shop.whiteriverproductions.com. And let me know, Andy, who to send that HO Collector out to. I'm going to go make dinner and watch the rest of the show with my dog.
All right, Tony.
Good to see you.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks, Tony.
Thanks. Have a great night.
Yeah. Be sure to check out the whole lineup from White River Productions. It's just fantastic stuff. And the ones that Tony does, Model Railroad News and Diesel Era. If you're a diesel, if you just love trains, and Diesel Era is one of the best magazines out there right now. So informative. I absolutely love it. Pick it up every time I'm in the hobby shop. So thanks again, Tony.
Thanks, see guys. Have a great night.
Thanks, Tony.
All right. So for those in the section crew, before we get going one more time here, collector, #collector to get the periodical from Tony Cook. So our guests on the show are eligible. However, the volunteers on the show, or the employees of the show, Mike, are not eligible. So feel free to jump in. #collector. Win yourself a free copy of that HO Collector magazine from White River Productions and Tony Cook. So
I can't say I don't ever win anything because I won 2 things at the RPM, so I guess that's okay.
Yeah. So now that the hijinks have been discussed and the good time has been shared, let's change gears just a bit. Chris, Home Shops is here tonight, and we got a big crew. What are we talking about this evening?
Well, we've got a couple of things to mention here. The reason I flew the bat signal up there and summoned the show was we have some really cool stuff coming in. In fact, I got off of work here and I had a message from Forward Air to arrange delivery of a pallet for a car that I don't believe we've mentioned at all anywhere. So it should be a new car, and that will be available here on this show. We'll make it live it'll still be on pre-order, but I should have those maybe Friday. I don't know. I've got to schedule it. It's a little difficult with the day job to get a pallet or two delivered to the house. I've got to be here, and Friday's my next day off. So if they can't do a late evening one, it'll be here by Friday. But it is in Fort Worth. So we'll make that announcement, but I do want to segue first, since Tony brought up the St. Louis RPM, do a little plug for our first venture into an RPM. I think we mentioned it with Michelle Kempema on the last show.
We did.
But we have sponsored the first freelance forum. It's going to be at the Colorado RPM in Greeley, Colorado on September 27th and 28th. So it's a partnership with Colorado RPM. You register at corpm.org. Early bird registration ends at the end of this month. And by the way, we have some freelance forum swag on the freelance forum page. I'm normally not a hat person, but I have to tell you, when we do merch items, occasionally I'll get a sample set, and the embroidery. I always get nervous with embroidery and these complicated logos. They did a really, really good job, and so we threw that up there. And I'll tell you, I'm really didn't expect to move a whole lot of it. Primarily it was just to get some stuff for us that are to represent home shops. A lot of it has been going, and I've really been surprised by how many folks have bought polo shirts. So that's very, very cool to see. So we do have that. We'll mention that a few times here just to make sure folks know that it's there. We'll probably take it all down after the event here in 2 months. But, a draw of the why we selected the Colorado RPM. There's a number of reasons that we did, but one of them is the Colorado Model Railroad Museum. And Michelle Kempema and that organization have agreed to let us put freelance trains on that museum layout and run them throughout the event. And we've got a few special things planned that I think it's going to make this very different from any event that is at another RPM.
Right.
We also have one of the trains we're going to run is the Freelance Forum Office Car Special, or the Freelance Office Car Special. And we put a post out maybe 3 or 4 months ago, kind of soliciting folks. We've gotten quite a few responses, and there's a lot of folks that are posting pictures of the development of their freelance business car. So we're going to have a very healthy freelance office car special, kind of inspired by the Apricot trains, where once a year they'll put all these private cars together and run. It'll kind of have that same feel, but it'll be fun because it's this community and everybody's railroads represented. So if you've got a freelance business car for your road and you want it, reach out to me. There's a form on the website. Send me a message on Facebook Messenger. If you can't go to the show, I've got several folks that have sent and are sending me cars, and I will bring them up personally to run on the train. We've got a track of clinics. We have not announced them, so we're announcing them tonight. There'll be 3 clinic slots on Saturday and 3 clinic slots on Sunday. only 3 clinic slots on Sunday because I'm told there's something really big that's going to visit Greeley. Boy, it's supposed to be really big, but I don't know what it is. So there's a blank slot. But our 7 presentations, John Parker, well known for his freelance BNSF Fall River Division layout, just an incredible layout. He has a lot of freelance industries and things baked into it, and he is going to talk about that and the development of one in particular, and that will come with a Home Shops announcement of a car for that industry.
What?
Chris Palmieri of my alter ego, we get confused a lot, not Chris Palmieri. Chris Palmieri of Intermountain is going to do a clinic, the case for freelance, and it's going to be kind of a manufacturer's assessment of freelance and its role in the industry. I think it's going to be a really, really great presentation. He shared some of it with me. And, they've dabbled in it before. They did the V&O in the Allegheny Midland SD40-2 maybe 15 years ago, and they're doing Allagash cars now. And I think it's good for our community as a whole, I think, to see other folks investing in this niche. Daniel Archer, one of our road owners from our very first release, his freelance road is the West Falls Northern, and he's going to talk about his thought process for developing it and share what he created. Our own Greg McComas is going to do a clinic on his Michigan Interstate and how it's kind of become an empire. And I think he's going to announce that their newest acquisition is going to be the Farland Terminal. I think that's what he's announced.
I knew that was going to happen.
Jack Brown, who's been on this show a couple of times, is going to do a presentation on the Cardinal system. Just pretty cool, and I think we're going to make a 2nd and a 3rd Cardinal system car announcement. And then Matt Gentry, he's got a freelance concept that he's going to introduce to everybody, the Modern Yankeetown Dock Corp. And I think we'll have two modern YDC cars to announce at the Freelance Forum. And then Doug Watts and myself will do the clinic that we did in Valley Forge 2 years ago, kind of a general introduction, what is freelance model railroading, and we'll segue that into my own Meridian Speedway concepts. So, and of course, there'll be plenty of, it's not just a freelance event, we're a component of it. So there'll be lots of freelance in prototype clinics, models on display. Oh, and there'll be freelance merch available, freelance forum merch available at homeshops.net, if I didn't mention that already.
Oh, man. I'm a sucker for coffee mugs and hats. That's
Doug, you've been chatting with us and part of this process. Any thoughts on the freelance forum you want to share with the folks before we go into the announcements?
Yeah, I think it'll be exciting, and it's an opportunity for all of us, not just Home Shops, but for all of us that are in this community, specifically in the freelance community, and then, of course, in the modeling community. So, pretty excited about being part of this.
It's quite an adventure, and you're helping everybody that's helping out with Home Shops. We're going to put on a good show. I'm very excited about it.
Yeah.
So that being said, our special guests here, I've asked them to join us, Dennis, David, and Carrie, because they have a special tie to the 2 road names that are in our release. And those 2 road names are a Frank Ellison Industry, the Gargle Oil Company, and a neat concept called the Water Train, which Dave Rangel represents. And that's actually as close to a proto-freelance concept as we've got, because it's actually a prototype company with something very unique. So give me just a second while I share that one.
Okay. I do have a question here from the Mesquite Belt. Are the clinics going to be recorded at the yeah.
The current plan is yes. We've got a lot of stuff that I'm not sure that we'll definitely record them. I'm not sure how long it'll take us to get them put up on YouTube.
Okay, that's a good question.
So the car that we're announcing is the Rapido GP20 tank car, which we've had in the works behind the scenes for a little while. And two of the road names are the Water Train. The Water Train, these guys came, we crossed paths and we looked at what they had going on. And the car and their logo was very, very cool. I believe they're primarily using just a lease fleet of cars. So you won't see a car painted like this on the rails. But I thought, a tank car, it's very difficult in the freelance world to get a good solid tank car unless you've got an industry or something like that going with it. So we had several conversations about maybe incorporating this as a proto freelance car, and it might be a harbinger of something that will be out there on the rails in the future. And we picked the GP20 to do it.
Oh, wow.
And this is a sample photo from the factory, and I'll mention the other car real quick, and then I'll pass it off to David and let him really introduce Water Train and what that's all about. So, and then we'll deep dive here into Frank Ellison and the Gargle Oil Company and the other stuff that's behind the story that put that on our interest. So Frank Ellison, kind of the godfather of freelance model railroading, was really big into developing. We'll talk about that car here when Dave brings it up. That's a large scale model, but he was really big into operations and creating industries, and he used a lot of names that were very similar to something that was going on in the real world. And Mobil Oil at the time had Gargle oil. So he did a play on the words. that was the industry, and we'll look at some of those details in depth. But these are the two cars that we've got now, and we'll have in our hands very soon once I get that pallet delivered. And that's what we're going to talk about tonight. So, and we also have Freelance Forum merch on the website right now. I don't know if
I haven't heard of this merch yet. We'll have to talk about that.
What's this Freelance Forum I keep hearing about? I don't know.
Yes, indeed. So that's it. 4 numbers of each, and the pallets here in Fort Worth, and we can start getting them out the door shortly. Just to answer the question, and I think Andy and Mike were going to do another podcast here in a few weeks. The Atlas CNCF 5000s that have been available for advanced purchase here for a few weeks. I think I will get those next week. I think that's how that's going to play out. But they're on the horizon. They are at Atlas in New Jersey right now. So
awesome.
So that being said, Godfather? I don't think so. It was John Allen. What was the date of John Allen's freelance?
Wow.
Comment there.
Ooh, that sounds like a Chat GPT question.
Yeah, that'll be a good piece to discuss. So,
yeah. So I guess I have a couple of questions. So Water Train, what's the concept behind this? I am completely in the dark on this one.
Well, first of all, thank you very much for inviting me on the program. It opens up a new world to us. We're primarily in the one-to-one scale, I guess you would say, but battling it out with basically the railroads to get stuff moved around. What we do is we move train loads of water from points of excess to points of need. And you can probably, envision where those points are. It's a program that's been in development for almost 15 years. It's been a long, hard struggle. The concept makes a lot of sense. The problem was that back then, and even to a degree now, water was basically considered free, or if there was a cost, it might have been a tenth of a cent or something like that. The cost of water that you pay at home is really for the cost of the delivery and the infrastructure. So whatever that monthly water bill is, they're getting it for nothing and charging you for cleaning it up and blah blah blah.
Sure.
So uh, we kind of had to cross a lot of bridges trying to identify who our client base was, where the water was going to come from, and develop an infrastructure to go along with that. What's exciting about being with you guys tonight, at least from my perspective, and we kind of had talked about this earlier, is that so much of the modeling world really had migrated into the prototypical world. The one that really stands out in my mind from my era as a modeler was the KD number 5 and 10 couplers.
Of course.
The ones that always centered. And lo and behold, 15, 20 years ago, all of a sudden we had to have self-aligning couplers. And I thought, gee, mini Christmas, this is nothing but a big KD coupler.
Yep.
And I thought, wow, that's pretty cool. So we have some tank cars out there running around as they're indescript, they're lease cars. You probably have seen them. They're faded, ugly black with a lot of tagging on it, and those are probably our cars. And primarily right now, our client base is into Mexico. There's pretty severe conditions down there, but there's also severe conditions from non-governmental forces that don't want the local population to be hydrated. So that's another story for the book or the movie when it comes out. So we have some really neat models that Chris has produced for the company. We had envisioned that they would be gifts for customers, kind of an idea of this is what it's going to be if you can envision the big trains going down the track. And it's actually kind of, I think, a very sharp design. And as soon as we start acquiring our own cars, they're going to be replicated exactly on how the scale model came out. I'm sure they'll get tagged and scratched up, but white's an easy color to cover. So one thing that I have take this time in this forum is that one of the things that we have always struggled with is there's got to be a better way than a tank car. And we've come up with different variations on the theme. We've taken some old converted sand cars from when the sand car industry collapsed to see if they would be good at holding water. And we ran some test trains in Minnesota, I believe. And there were still bugs in it. But I would make this challenge to the modelers out there, using my KD coupler as the example, that maybe somebody out there can envision a better way to haul water than in a tank car. And some of our guys have come up with using hopper cars and having them sealed on the inside with rapid flow gates on the bottom. And I thought, well, possibly. But there's got to be a better way of moving moving large quantities of a viscous material, water. I mean, it's a pretty innocent product. When there's a derailment, and there will be, there won't be fires and there won't be mass evacuations. There's just going to be a lot of mud. But yeah, it's something to think about. And I bet you that if I put that challenge out there to somebody, somebody might come up with a sample that they have built. I think the term that I remember, kit bashed, is that right?
That's right. Yeah.
Oh, wow. I'll tell you, dementia has not set in yet. So
very good.
That's a great challenge for a 2026 RPM project. You know it.
So we would, we can, the rewards out of this, perhaps besides monetary, the typical bag of gold, we can see the creator's name being painted on the car, rolling down the tracks, and something that he can point to his friends and his children and say, kids, your dad did that, or your mom did that, depending on what's going on in the family dynamics. So it's, we're really grateful to have discovered Chris and his capabilities, and how he got together with us. I'll never know, but maybe I don't want to know, and that's between others. We all have our secret lives. So anyway.
We met at a Waffle House, I think.
I was going to say it had to be a Waffle House.
So once again, thank you very much. Our website is watertrain.us. We have, you'll see part of our cast of characters on there. I will tell you that we have water bulk facilities in Kentucky, Tennessee, Nebraska, and New York. And we're talking with some folks back in New York on some big transit projects, which, if they come to fruition, would be pretty exciting. But we're pretty low key, and that's okay. So
this is incredible.
It's very interesting. It's very interesting, and I'll tell you that the concept is not new. It's just been updated. And if anybody does their railroad history, they'll see that Alhambra water back in the 1930s used to run water from the foothills of Los Angeles into Los Angeles itself, a mountain spring water, and that with little wooden tank cars. And I believe even water trains are running in Australia, out in the outbacks. So we're taking that concept here home, because this is a situation where water is going to be needed, a lot of it right away. And and I like that slide with a picture of the United States and the water, because that really gives you an idea of what we're doing, from eastern points to the major areas in the Southwest that are, quite frankly, at the tipping point, no pun intended, of going from hydration to
drought.
Yeah.
Oh, it's desertification, right?
Yeah, exactly. There's a new word for aridness. So gonna be spooky. And the thing is that they'll point and say, desalination is the answer. That's the way to go. Well, except that it's pretty hard to get to the ocean if you're in Utah or
right.
Colorado or Arizona. Arizona kind of get to the ocean, but the thing is that when you're thirsty, you need water now, not 10 years away.
Yeah, and it's hard to move water uphill.
Yeah, that's true.
To get it into those areas. This is fantastic. I had no clue that this existed at all.
It's pretty wild. It's but the thing is that sometimes we don't need state of the art when really old technologies work. And when you think about old technologies, 150 years of railroading or more, It's not rocket ships. It's not solar powered desalination water create. No, it's rail car on steel track, rolling down the tracks, load, empty, return. So it's sometimes the simple things. What's that old expression? Kiss, keep it
Yeah.
simple. So that's this thing, and you know, um, we know it will work. It's not a question of if. It's already out there working right now. So
Fantastic.
That's very cool.
So I want to thank you guys all for letting me use this forum to reach out, because I know you guys are doing other things besides just working on your models. You have real jobs, or you're going to talk to somebody to say, hey, Fred, did you let somebody know somebody, that old saying of 6 degrees of separation, and you're going to touch almost everybody.
Yep.
This is that forum. This is that forum. So I'm very proud to be here, and I'm very excited to talk to you guys. And so thank you.
Well, thank you, David. That's super cool. I'll make sure, let's tag up after the show, just to get some contact information from you. Make sure that I get that in the show notes, and then I can propagate it through our social media channels as well.
Our website is watertrain.us, or it might be watertrain.com. I think we have 2 sites.
Okay,
But
wonderful.
It's but thank you very much.
Thanks, David. I appreciate that. And it's kind of fun to kind of actually reverse engineer something here. And we've home shops, we've dabbled into the promotion side of the business, and we've got a number of projects going on with short lines and shippers, things that will never be on the home shops page because they're just for these particular clients. But this particular deal here, when I saw that, and I thought, well, there's something I've never seen at all. And what a neat thing for, if you've got a freelance railroad, here's a stunning car, and it's a commodity that anybody could be on, any model railroad could be part of the transportation chain between supply and demand, if not have a reason to have it on your own railroad. I grew up in South Louisiana, and for a while I lived in Mandeville, and there was Abita Springs on the IC, Illinois Central Gulf shoreline branch, it was called, and they would ship 10 cars of water, right there from Abita Springs, Abita Water, and so it kind of reminded me of that when I first saw it. But there's just so many neat applications, and it's never been done before. So we're hopeful that this car finds favor in the model railroad community.
Well,
thank you.
Yeah, I got the terminal and the port on Lake Michigan here for my model railroad. I think I'll have to get a hose set up into the river channel here, and away we go. It's a no-brainer. I'll just sneak on out to Home Shop's website here.
Yeah.
All right. Well, moving on, I'm going to roll through this one here pretty quick and then get to our guests. But there were the comments there, or questions about the Delta lines. There is a blog on the Home Shop's website penned by my father, actually. Frank Ellison was born in March of 1887 in my hometown of New Orleans. And I was talking last night with Kerry Williams, and he was very well versed on Frank Ellison's transition from prototype to freelance modeling. And we'll look at some of the articles that were written. But I think 1938 is the date of the golden spike of the Delta line. So if there's challenges for his godfather status, it'll be people that are in the exact same time frame. I'm not sure how many folks were born before 1887 and had over 147 articles published. But he's very influential. So we're excited to bring him to the forefront. The Art of Model Railroading is probably his most famous book that he published. We've actually done or are doing 4 cars of Frank Ellison in the Delta Lines family. We have already put out the USRA 40-foot boxcar in a classic Delta Line scheme. We've done that in HO and N scale. Both are still available. We did 4 numbers in HO and 2 road numbers in N. And we'll probably do some more classic stuff. And then arriving very, very soon and selling very well, we did the Delta Lines boxcar with Atlas. We've got a Carter's Little River Mills hopper coming with Prairie Shadows, and we've got our Gargle oil car coming. So again, the Delta Lines boxcar, there's one on Mike Mackey's Model Railroad. The Delta Lines boxcar here, you know, our team, we have a conference call or a Zoom call every Tuesday, and we talked about this one for a while. And the classic Delta Lines logo, it just didn't look right on modern equipment. And we thought, you know, 1938, the man was born in 1884. This concept was in his mind for nearly a century. How many companies have been in existence for over a century that didn't rebrand at some point? Mm-hmm. So we had a number of calls, and we worked through a number of designs, and we wanted to put something out that would honor the legacy of the Delta Lines, but be kind of a more exciting rebranded look that we could move forward with on more modern equipment. So this is our first offering of that. And I feel like, you know, Frank Ellison, you know, he was a theatrical person professionally. You know, it's all about the show and the story and moving on to the next version. And I feel like this car captures the spirit of it. And, you know, even right down to the conspicuity marks or little triangles for Delta shapes across the bottom of the car. Yeah. And there's a sample on Mike Wohlsdorf's layout in Covington. The Carter's Little River Mills car, you know, Frank was really known for his industries, you know, in the operational aspect that he wrote about. And at the time, there was a commercial product called Carter's Little Liver Pills. So he snagged that jingle and twisted it a little bit and had Carter's Little River Mills. Carter's Little River Pills had a Carter's Little, say that 3 times fast. Carter's Little River Pills, their logo had a raven in it. And you know, Frank, and our guests will get into this a little bit, he didn't really go very far with regards to branding the industries. A lot of the industries he just wrote in cardboard, you know, the name of the industry. So there's a lot of leeway to take that to the next step, but we wanted it to be accurate or, you know, true to the intent. And here's a sample. It's got some errors on it, but it'll be a white car, but it's still a gorgeous car. If you've been watching our posts, you've seen it snuck in a lot of trains, but we didn't say anything about it. But we wanted to, you know, pull the bird, the raven, from the Carter's Little River Pills logo, and, you know, somehow incorporate that with the Carter's Little River Mills logo on this car. So we're excited about that. We'll probably announce that formally here in a couple of months. And then the Gargle oil car that just came in. So Frank Ellison and the Delta Lines, you know, this document here on the left, I can share it. This is a screenshot of a document that is on the Delta Lines Facebook page, which Kerry Williams is an admin of. You know, it scrolls down. It's 147 articles that were penned by him, starting in 1937 is the first Frank Ellison article on here. And, you know, that document is very valuable for me as we're researching things. including, when this 10-car project came about, we would not have done the Gargle oil car if we didn't have the water train concept going as well. But since we were ordering that car, we thought let's do something fun that honors it. And there's that reference resource, and we found it led us to a number of articles that were published about that industry. So these are some logos. Before I went down this rabbit hole, I was completely unfamiliar with Mobil Oil's Gargle oil, which was the inspiration for the name. And as soon as you hit Google and look for Gargle logos, there's like just all kinds of things for sale. And this is one of the magazines. I went to the list and I go right to eBay and see what's available, and almost everything is. This is a article that was published in Model Builder in 1941. This is a reprint of it in Rail Model Journal in April 1991. It was reprinted, but the original article ran in 1941. So, he built the kit. You can see how he just has the Gargle Oil Company written on a cardboard sign. But he was in that time really into operations, and it was all on his freelance Delta lines, and he would go into detail in these 147 articles of how he built this industry, how he built that industry, how would it be rolled into the operating plan of an operating session, and how would the cars flow. He was doing that at that point in time. So our team, again, we had a brainstorm session and thought, well, how there was nothing other than that sign. What do? We want to get the name out there. We want to make it bold. So this is the logo that we came up with, because I don't think it would have been appropriate to put just a cardboard sign on the tank car. And we've got that look. So hopefully that takes favor. No, by the way, we have freelance forum merch available on the website. I don't know if I've mentioned that. So these are the two cars. They're available now. You can start scooping them up. They're on the advanced purchase page since by Friday, and we'll start kicking them out.
Dang.
Nice work. Really nice.
Yes, indeed.
And so that being said, so both of the other guests here, as we're going down the rabbit hole of researching these articles, I came across Dennis Brennan and his business, and we'll share his website. Had no idea really that he was out there. And he's got a Frank Ellison tribute series of Craftsman kits for industries. They're all low-scale kits. But it's, I was like, what? Really? I had no idea. And then, this connection. And then the invaluable resource of the documents on the Delta Lines Facebook page introduced me to Kerry. And he has a number of original Delta Lines Frank Ellison pieces, rolling stock and industries in the basement that he's going to walk the camera around and show us some original artifacts here when we get to that point. So
Derek's right. Too bad there isn't any merch to commemorate this.
There should be. You should make like this thing where everybody gets together, like at an RPM or something, and
we should
kind of like like promote it. I mean, you think anybody'd show up?
We're going to find out.
There's a lot of Ellison fans out there.
There are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's good.
Yeah.
It's good. So let's dive in. Well, before we get started, make sure, if you haven't already, and I have already, the place your orders for the cars at homeshop.net. So we never even really discussed where we can find these wonderful cars. So I'm going to put that in the chat as well, right under brennan'smodelrailroad.com. So that way you guys can essentially, go out there and find all these beautiful models that we're talking about. I got to say that Delta Lines boxcar
Yeah.
That's hot.
Yeah,
That
that's
is a really
that's
good
gonna
looking
be
car.
that's coming here. That's coming to the Farland
Yeah.
terminal.
Yeah,
for
I
sure.
already put my order
Yep.
in for at
Yep.
least one of those, and then I have another Delta. Well, I have another Delta Lines car here that I run at my model railroad club. So yeah, it's awesome.
I do have a serious question though, Chris. Honestly, I know it's
Yes,
weird
sir.
coming from me, but so is the and I know we've kind of joked about it, but is the Freelance Forum merchandise in the same shopping cart as the other home shops purchases, or are they being dealt with separately?
They're being so you place your order like any product on the home shops page, and we've got a tab for the Freelance Forum. So it's just like any other product, but all of our merch items are print on demand.
Okay.
So I don't have an inventory in the house.
You don't need to do two separate things, one for the Freelance Forum, one for your home shop stuff. You can do them all in the same cart. Okay.
Correct. I'm with you now. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
You can place that order, and it Shopify is our platform, and they're well versed in splitting that up behind the scenes.
Yeah, I'm about ready to go broke some more here.
Yeah.
By the way, the polo shirts do run a little large, just FYI. I think it says it on the product page, but
yeah. So do I.
Especially after your visit to Waffle House.
Yeah. I love Waffle House. That's awesome.
So yeah, go ahead, Andy.
No, I was just gonna tee you back up, Chris. Why don't we dive in here?
All right. Well, let's pass the mic to Mr. Brennan here, and
Okay.
Dennis and I talked a little bit this week, and if you would, I asked both these gentlemen, when did Frank Ellison come across your radar, and that's a real great starting point, I think. Dennis, the mic is yours.
Well, I discovered Frank Ellison when I was in third grade, and that's right around 1958. So I'm kind of dating myself here. And every weekend I used to go to the movies to catch a Saturday matinee. And this was like January. I grew up out east. And I took a bus down to Bloomfield Center. I lived in a town called Bloomfield. And bus took me down there. And I got out of the movies. And where the bus turned, where the end of the line was right behind that movie theater. And so the bus would come, and when I got out of the theater, I knew I always had about 15 minutes because the bus would just lay over there. And so I was walking down to the bus to go home, and I saw this bookstore. It was a used bookstore, a little tiny hole in the wall, and it's kind of chilly out. I thought, I'll go in there. I'll see if I can find some comic books, Superman, Batman, whatever. And I'm looking through these piles of books, and I came across a pile of magazines, and it said Toy Trains. Well, I was into trains from the time I was 4 years old. So, wow, cool. I had never seen that magazine before. And I'm going to show you which magazine it is right now. Let's see, right here. I'm going to share this screen.
All right.
All right. And then what's going on here now? What is this? I see. Select. Yeah. Where is it? Where'd it go? Here we go.
Great disappearing window.
There
it happens a lot to us on this show.
Are you seeing that?
Yes.
Okay. That was one of the magazines. This is an actual cover from that magazine that somebody gave me another issue, and that's what's left of it.
Oh wow. Did you want to maximize that by hitting that second icon there?
Yeah.
So our viewers can see it. Nope. The next one. There you go. That's the one. Yes.
Yeah, that was that was what got me started. I saw that and I flipped through it, and lo and behold, there was an article by Frank Ellison, and it was called, it was a box and hamper factory, and it was called Oblong Box Company. And I saw that, and I read the first little paragraph, which is, and I'm going to repeat this because it's the thing that pulled me into model railroading. He says, every time Smoky Mary pulls a string of freight cars out of the yard, she sets out with the determination of a woman at a bargain sale to deliver each single car in the drag to the particular industry for which it is tagged. Forest Oaks Box and Hamper Factory is one of the industries, and you can wham out this little model in a week of evenings. And then he goes on to explain how model railroading is more than just running trains around a loop of track. That's endless. And it doesn't go anywhere. And I read this whole thing, and I was just mesmerized. That's the day I became a model railroader. And I started thinking I wasn't playing with toy trains anymore. I'm playing with a real, it was a game of picking up cars and delivering them to industries. And he talked about how one industry would beget another industry. And the Box and Hamper Company, and he said that was one of the companies that would be making boxes and hampers for like the Haphazard Packing Company, which was a fruit wholesaler. And so, and then Haphazard Packing Company needed iced box cars. And so he developed the Burr Ice Company. So he talked about all of these kinds of things, and I was just like blown away. Now, he built everything back then. They didn't have hobby shops like we have today.
Right.
He built everything out of artist illustration board. And as you can see, he drew it out and he folded the corners and put them together. And windows were drawn in, and he used cellophane sometimes for the glass. And so that excited me, and I always wanted to build that structure. However, I never was able to build it because I couldn't find brick paper at the time. And plus I just didn't have the wherewithal to draw in corrugated lines and everything else. He drew everything. So one of the other magazines was this one, which was another Ellison article in there. And that one featured the Haphazard Packing Company. Now that was one that went right along with the Oblong Box Company. And so I was really excited about that one too. And again, you can see he gave you dimensions, and he would cut it out of cardboard. And it didn't look hard, and but it was a little more than I could deal with when I was in third grade. So I never did build one of those when I was a kid. But then this is my rendition of the Haphazard Packing Company. That's a kit that I built or that I made. And my idea behind doing a Frank Ellison tribute series is that if Frank were alive today with the modern materials and methods that we're using, this is how these models would be made or could be made. And so I have used his dimensions exactly, but I have felt free to add a little bit of Brennan to it. I can't ever leave anything alone. But there is no doubt if you look at if you look at one of the models that I make or that I sell as a tribute, there is no doubt where they came from. And I think Frank would be really happy about it. Here's another one. This is Richmond Packing Company, and you saw an image of that in Chris's presentation. I tried to be true to what he wanted. It's exactly the same dimensions, and I think I got the coloring right. It's supposed to be a brownstone building. Now, the thing that I've discovered about Frank Ellison is that he was much more than just making a structure. He was giving the structure an identity. He was giving the structure a history.
Yeah.
And the history of this was a rich person's house at one time. And for some reason, that rich person left and the house was abandoned. We don't know why. And somebody came along and they thought, wow, this is a magnificent building. Why don't we turn it into a packing plant? And so they did. And so then the history, you can see a little bit of the history. This was the front of the house, presumably. And then this was a window. Now, this was my little touch. They added a door here, and there was normally a window here and another window here, but they turned that window into a door, and then this one got bricked up, cinder blocked up.
Yeah,
so that was my little touch to the building. Plus, I made it so that the windows could open as well, and then I added these little things to board it up. And then here's another one. This is the Sankey Wanky Coffee Company. Yeah, and Sankey is, I'm sure you guys have all heard of it, Sanka brand coffee.
Sanka,
It's
yeah.
Sanka, yep.
Sanka.
Yeah.
Now, one person, when I was talking about this one time, said, boy, that's kind of a risque name, isn't it? Sankey Wanky, isn't it? I said, you got the whole, he missed it.
Yeah.
He was thinking of something else. So I don't know where his mind was going. And this is the book, Frank Ellison on Model Railroads. And once I got those magazines, I went crazy and tried to find everything I could find out about him. And I found his book in the library. Now, that's not the book. The one I found in the library was a hardcover. This one I found on eBay. And so now this is what he calls a small parts factory. I haven't built that one yet. That is next on my radar. And what I love about this building is it's really a combination of several different structures. There's the house. This was an old farmhouse. Now, again, this is Frank Ellison, how things are not only weathered over time, but how things expand over time. So this farmhouse was abandoned and became a machine parts shop. And then he expanded and he couldn't keep up with all of the parts that he had to manufacture. So he added a corrugated metal, sheet metal building. Actually, I think he just used a sheet metal building. And that was this edition here. And then he added a little, you don't see it here, hardly see it, but that is a brick edition on the back, which became a place where they could make their own molds for the machine parts that he was selling. And then they, of course, there's a loading dock here that goes back this way. And now this is my rendition of the Oblong Box Company. This
Oh.
actually, this
Wow.
is Now I'm a high rail modeler. And what is high rail? Well, basically high rail is using Lionel or Atlas O, or well, actually I use Atlas O track. And other than the 3-rail track and the bigger couplers, I would consider this scale. I try to model everything as close to scale as I can, other than the little compromises that I'm willing to live with, because I don't want to give up my Lionel trains. And
Sure.
I love, there's a lot going on there. Now, this was a diorama that I did on a 4x8 sheet of plywood that's behind me, actually, right now where I'm sitting.
Incredible.
I did it specifically for the cover of Classic Toy Trains magazine. I'm also a professional photographer, and I do model railroad photos, and I've photographed layouts all over the country for Classic Toy Trains, as well as model railroader. It's really a fine art doing this, and I love it. I absolutely love it. I've done, I don't know, over 24 covers for Classic Toy Trains. And at some show, you might want to talk about photography and what's all involved in doing, setting up a scene like this. But one little thing that I can say is, I'm sure you've all built models or done something and it didn't go quite the way you want. And you think, oh, crap, now what? Well, instead of looking at something as a problem, look at it as an opportunity. And this photo is a perfect example of that. You see the beautiful snow on the ground. Well, my plan was, now, I have a pet peeve. I don't like to see a completely blizzarded over snowscape. Yep. A lot of people do that. I don't like to do that. I like to be able to see some of the detail underneath. So I go for more of a freshly fallen or, snow. In this case, I was going to dust everything lightly with the snow, which you can see on the buildings and everything else was accomplished, and on the street. But you can't just get that kind of look on the street doing that. Well, I was going to go for a smooth look and with some tire tracks. Well, what happened is, when you do this, I used baking soda, baking powder, and you pour it through a strainer, a sifter, a flour sifter. Well, the first thing you do, though, is you have to put something under that sifter, because when you pour the baking powder in there, a whole bunch of it is going to fall through.
Right.
Well, I did it over the road, and I forgot to put something under there, and now I had a pile of snow on the road. And I had already, sprinkled snow in other places, and I thought, oh, crap. Now what? I got to sweep it up and suck it up with a vacuum and start all over. And instead, I thought, wait a minute. What if I just blow on it?
There you go.
I blew on it, and there you go. I could never have done that ahead of time. I mean, so you have to use your accidents. You have to think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the only change I made on his oblong box company, I made a couple changes. One is this little extension. It's a weatherboarded, as what he called it. It's clapboard siding, but he put it in. It's flush with this corrugated building wall, and he had a little porch out front with steps going down on both sides. And I thought, wait a minute, why don't I just enlarge that, take up the same space that he had with the porch on there, and just put the door over on this side with stairway going down. So that's what I did. And that's the little change that I made there. Now, this is the cover that resulted from that shot.
Oh, dang. That is so good.
That is awesome.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you so much.
That is.
And then I can go back there. There's a lot of stuff going on. And I should point something else out too. I dropped in the sky with Photoshop. That was easy to do. But there's several things that are happening. There's not tons of detail in here, but it looks like it, doesn't it? This little tree with a few little leaves, the color of the sky adds to the coolness of it. It feels cold. So you're trying to get that feeling of cold. And the lighting is critical in this. You'll see that there's a distinct shadow here because of where the sun is coming from. So you got to think about lighting. And also the tracks go off into the distance. You can see how these buildings progress and everything leads your eye right down the center of that shot. You look around everything, but there seems to be a tremendous distance involved here.
So there's a question from the Montana Northern Railroad. How deep is the scene?
That scene, it was on a 4x8 sheet of plywood. So what we're looking at now is probably about, let me just check for a real quick second.
Yeah, we'll get the real measurement.
You're probably looking at about 5 feet from where I shot it.
Yeah.
5 feet from the very foreground here to where this opening is, where the back of the building is.
This is really there's another question, Dennis. I hope you're game here. What kind of lighting did you use for the photo?
Well, I have several different kinds of professional lighting gear.
Sure.
In this case, I used a 1,000-watt Aeroflex Fresnel. And the sky actually was it's a white backdrop, but it has to be evenly lit in order to make this work correctly. That works the best. I mean, you can do it otherwise, but to drop in the sky, and then I picked the portion of the sky. I mean, they have these sky pictures you can use, but you can crop them any way you want, blow them up. So I blew it up so that I had a lighter area down here and the darker area up here. And typically, I use either that Arri Fresnels, 1,000-watt Fresnels, or I also have panel lights, 1,000-watt LED panels. So
that's cool.
And Dennis, you use a light meter for all your shots, even with digital, right?
Yep. I'm an old film guy, right? And I was a commercial photographer. I'm still a commercial photographer, but I'm only doing train stuff. I was a commercial photographer back in the day, and all you ever shoot are transparencies. And so transparencies have no latitude whatsoever. So you really have to understand how to light. And I always used a handheld light meter. They didn't have auto anything back when I started. So you bracketed one light, one where you think it is, and one darker. And after you do that and do it, it just becomes second nature. And so even now, when I'm shooting, I will use my handheld light meter. Now, I have to say that I'm using a Nikon D850. That's what this was shot with. That's a 45 megapixel camera. But I still use my light meter. Although the exposure usually is right on, I mainly use the light meter to make sure that I have the light at a level that's consistent throughout the photo. Because a lot of times if I'm shooting a layout, the backdrop is way behind where I am. And so
Sure.
I'll use my Fresnel to throw a light on the backdrop. I'll use the Fresnels for that because they'll throw, but the panel lights really don't have much of a throw at all. And so I will use them for fill in the front, and then maybe I'll accent it with a Fresnel and use a panel light for fill, and then measure the entire scene to make sure that the light level is exactly where I want it. So,
Dennis, the one thing that captures my attention on this photo, just period, is since we're talking about the lighting, is you've captured a time of day also. If you take a look at the length of shadow on those, look at how long the shadows are on that picture.
Mm-hmm.
So this is either what I would assume this would be late, like 4 o'clock in the afternoon type stuff.
Yep, 4 or 5 o'clock.
4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Well, 5 o'clock it might be a little getting kind of dark, depending on what time month you're at.
Yeah, that would be a little dark. Probably around 4 o'clock.
Just the length of the shadow from the building on top of the boxcars and the locomotive shadow going across the little bridge into the other in the tree.
Mm-hmm.
It's just this whole scene is just painted excellent. I mean, everything is just blows me.
Is incredible.
It's and like you said in our pre-show, had you not paid any attention to the fact that there's a third rail, you never would have known this is a high rail layout. You know, and
you wouldn't have known
stuff.
It's a model.
You wouldn't have known it was a model. That's a good point, Andy. That's an excellent point. You would never have known this was a model. This is that well done. This is beautiful. This is absolutely beautiful.
Thank you. I appreciate it. This is a real passion of mine to be able to model and then take a picture of it and get the result that I get. Now, I can't say that every photo I've done is this one is very special. And I have several others that I think just really nail it, right? And it's so much fun for me because I combine a lot of my passions. I love to make scenery. I love that. I also like to model, make structures, and I love to photograph the scene and make it come alive. So thank you.
Andy, I got one other thing to say, and I don't know, as a photographer myself, I don't think this is an insult, but Andy, does this not look like a Robert Frisella watercolor print? I just happen to think of the L&N photo and a couple of the other ones that I have, because Robert Frisella is a friend of mine, and he's an amazing artist with watercolors and traditional stuff. It's just, this looks like a painting almost.
It does.
It is absolutely, and I know sometimes photographers can kind of be a little funny about stuff like that.
Oh no!
But this is so beautiful. That is such a beautiful photo.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm an artist. I majored in art at Rutgers University, and specifically in photography and filmmaking. But the funny thing is that when I decided to become an art major, I went to my advisor, and he was my intro to art teacher. And I hadn't really done any art prior to getting into that. And I asked him, I said, Andy, what discipline do you think I should get into? And he said, I think you should do sculpture. Well, he had seen in an intro to art class, you have to do photography and film and sculpture, and you dabble in each one of them. And he saw something in the sculptures that I did that I didn't see. And he said, I think you should get into sculpture. Well, now that I'm doing this kind of stuff, this is sculpture. I call it a timescape. Okay. Yeah. We're recreating a moment in time. Okay. And if you look at it, it's very sculptural. The punctuated skyline, nothing. Look at the shapes of the buildings and the skyline and the little chimneys that come up, and just all those little things that all add so much to it. So anyway, that's
something I'd like to just make an observation here. Just before I really got into Frank Ellison and the Delta lines and gained an appreciation for it, at face value, especially for the younger people in the hobby, we're used to modern technology, 3D printed kits, all these materials. And for folks that are newer and grow up in the hobby with that, they saw a picture of a Frank Ellison kit being made from paper, right? They would not, give it the second thought. And Dennis, we can talk a little bit maybe about the material in that building. I do want to make sure we leave time to see what Carrie's got for us here, but we're looking at this amazing scene, and the centerpiece, besides the locomotive, is this building that was inspired by a paper kit. And it looks like, to the comments earlier, is it a real photograph? Is it a painting? Right? What material is that oblong box company made out of? What are we looking at there?
Well, in this particular case, this is all the other kits are basswood, pretty much basswood. This one is a combination of basswood for the little office extension, the clapboard siding, but the corrugation is cardboard. And the corrugation is got 3M peel and sticky back stuff on it, and that's adhered to a used photographic mounting board, which is about 1/16 of an inch thick, and it's very sturdy. And so that's what that is mounted to. But there is a basswood base. There's a concrete base on this building, and that's made out of basswood. And this corrugated structure sits on top of it. And then there is the roof is also cardboard, and it's got triangular cardboard gussets that hold it together. So it's a very sturdy building. But the other kits that I make, those are made out of laser cut basswood or MDF, or a combination of MDF and basswood and cardboard. So, but the main buildings are usually made, the main structures are now made mostly out of MDF. And the real quick story about that is I came across the corrugated cardboard in the crafts department of Joann Fabrics, which are now out of business. And all of a sudden it was the right size. It was just a sheet of cardboard about 2 feet by about a foot. And I thought, wow, Ellison, oblong box company. So I went home and I built I scratch built the first model, and then I measured it and I sent it off to a guy I met at York who does laser cutting. And I said, I want you to make this for me. And I gave him all the dimensions, and then he made one, sent it to me, and I made changes on it, and I sent it back. And then he made some more changes. So I built 3 of these before I was happy with the final result. And in a lot of cases, I'll build at least 2 models before I'm happy, because I always find something I want to change. So anyway, that's how that came about.
Wow.
Oops.
Very cool.
Okay, and then I was honored as a photographer, along with Dave Frary. Do you know Dave Frary?
Heard the name, yes.
Oh yes, yeah. Just
the scenery man.
Yeah. Well, Dave Frary also did work for Classic Toy Trains, and Roger Karp at Classic Toy Trains said that I was rivaled, or Dave Frary. Dennis Brennan was rivaled only by Dave Frary in terms of the articles that he wrote and the photography that he did and the scenery that he does. So I thought that was pretty cool, because when I was coming up in the model railroad world, Dave Frary is an idol of mine. He's an incredible scenery guy and a modeler. So at any rate, that is the name of that tune, and I will get out of this if I can. And I'll stop. How do I stop sharing the screen here?
At the very bottom of your screen, there's a icon with a red X, I think.
Yep.
How's that?
There you go.
There it is.
That's interesting. We just speaking of Roger Karp, we just got, it was yesterday, an email from a company called Book Launchers to see if we were interested in interviewing Roger Karp on the show.
Oh, you should. He's a great guy. He knows everything. I mean, he's a total Lionel historian. I mean, he knows all about that stuff. He'd be interesting to have on the show.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to maybe have a Lionel and some 3-rail folks on. I know it's something that we don't really touch on too much, but anyways, Dennis, that was incredible. Your modeling.
Thank you. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I do want to say that I have to thank Carrie Williams before I get off here, because Carrie has been a great resource for me, because he has the real thing. He's got some of Ellison's buildings, and in a lot of cases, Ellison didn't even do one side of them. He would just, if you didn't see the side of the building, he didn't do it.
Yeah.
And so one of my structures, I think it was, I'm not sure which one it is now, but I had to ask Carrie if he could take pictures of all 4 sides, and the side that you never saw, he took a picture of, and it just had a sketch on there of what was, the side was there, but it wasn't finished. And it had an outline of where the door was, and a couple windows were indicated. So I just took it from there. So thank you, Carrie. He's measured a lot of those buildings for me so that I could get it right. So
you're welcome.
So Chris, we have Carrie up here next. What do we have Carrie doing for us this evening?
Well, Carrie, thanks for hanging with us this long. I don't want to say that we've saved the best for last, because everybody here is just awesome. But Carrie, maybe real quick, tell us how Frank Ellison and the Duck Lines got on your radar, and what you've been collecting.
Do I turn? Oh, there we are. Just grew up with magazines and books, primarily tinplate world, but any of the books that were written in the 40s and the 50s, the fallback position when they needed a scenic layout was to take an Ellison picture and use it again because he was so prolific in his articles that you always had plenty of images to draw from of his Delta line. So there in glorious black and white were images of every little town and the magic of Frank's work is that it looks like Main Street, every town, every little town that you can drive through the back of Pennsylvania, through Ohio, Indiana, is one of Ellison's towns that he recreated in miniature. And so who is this guy? And this Delta lines you just see over and over and over again. So it was kind of the introduction that you only saw pretty much his layout, that and then Roadside of America. Those are the two big layouts that they were the go-to layouts to photograph and put in all these books. So, and then when I was finally started collecting O-scale, I go, well, what am I going to do for old buildings? Because everything I do is vintage. I don't do any new stuff at all. And I was offered after Fred Dole passed away, his widow wanted to sell the collection. So I was able to purchase Fred Dole's collection of Ellison pieces that he had put together. So that was the kind of the onset of my introduction to actually be able to see and hold the original pieces that were done by Frank Ellison. How do I turn this around so we do a camera that?
I think you touch the screen and you should have a flip camera.
So that one, so that shut the camera off. There should be one that looks like it can rotate it around.
Should be, yes.
Yep.
No, that's not it.
Is it iPhone?
Like a pair of arrows that might look like it's forming a circle.
There, are we going there now?
No,
there we go. Yeah, there we go.
All right, hang on. I'm going to put you on the big time here so we can get a good look.
Can I turn it sideways?
You certainly can if it'll.
No.
No.
I think we'll just keep her that way for now.
Okay, yeah, because it'd be nice if we did the widescreen. I don't know how you do
rotate. Why wouldn't it rotate? Huh.
He'll have to log off and log on with it oriented that way, I think, for it to flip for us, I think.
Yeah.
Well, what do you
here?
What do you want me to do?
Well, I think this will just be fine here.
Uh-oh. Where do we go? I'm still here. Hello. Hi, Chris. There was an Andy second. No, there's Chris. Okay.
He'll be back.
Oh, wait a minute.
Is everyone back?
You're back.
Yeah. See, this is the beauty of our show.
This is our high quality production value.
Yeah. So why don't we just take a look here? We got the first.
What is that piece there?
The first building up on the list here.
Okay, all the images that you've ever seen of Frank Ellison's work have always been black and white. So when I walked down into the dimly lit basement of Fred Dole's, this glorious Raymondale that he had recreated on his layout was greeted to me. And as you can see, it's all in color. So the town really does come alive with the beautiful imagery of Frank Ellison's hand painted. So that's all hand painted there.
The level of depth in all of this, man.
Shadowing, the Richmond Packing House. These are he kind of had a gesso and then scraped the bricks in. Individual shingles here. I mean, this is
so. When can I ask a question here? When were these buildings? When did Frank build these?
Well, let's go back. Frank started in the 30s doing standard gauge.
Yeah.
So in about 1932 was his first article.
Oh my gosh.
And as the hobby went from standard gauge tinplate to the scale world starting in the mid 30s, he went to O-scale in 1938. So here's Frank's first Delta lines when he lived at a house he lived on Colbert Street, and that was between Fillmore and Chappelle. So here's Fillmore.
Yeah.
Why is my camera backwards? Is everyone seeing this backwards?
No, we're
no,
seeing it.
right.
We're seeing it the right way.
If for some reason the camera's backwards, but anyhow, okay. Here's Fillmore. He lived at the corner of Fillmore and Colbert, and then the next street down the block was Chappelle. So it's a point-to-point operation, going through all this maze and coming out here.
And that's O scale.
This is O scale, right? Outside third rail. O
How
scale.
big of the house did he have?
Well,
They were nice sized houses. He had the whole attic.
Well, no,
right?
no. This is New Orleans. So you live on a raised first floor, and then the ground level is considered the basement. Because if you went 1 foot below ground, you're going to see a lot of the Gulf of Mexico come join you. So he did this. He had his golden spike in 1939. He started this when he was 51 years old in 38. And in 1940, he moves down the street, literally a block and a half, and has a much bigger basement. So now this is roughly 40 feet around, and the house is 60 feet long. So the layout's roughly 40 by 40. The Colbert Street is up front here. You come around the side of the house, and then you walk back here. This is ridiculous. Yeah, everything's backwards. And you come in through the side door here, and this is a lift bridge to get up, and then that gets you into the layout. The back part of the house here, where it was the furnace and also a workshop and laundry facilities to keep Nellie happy, his wife. So this is, now you can see there's they added, I did it backwards. I apologize. This is the first layout. This is driving me crazy. The camera's absolutely recording everything backwards here when I look through it. So this is the second layout with Raymondale up here. But you come into the side, this is the door here. So he's able to reuse many sections of the layout by just picking them up in sections, like this corner became that corner, that type of thing. So he was adapted, but he was able to take advantage of a larger space, and again, continuing doing from a point-to-point type of operation. So many of these buildings are from the original layout from 39 to 40. So this is part of Gina. This is part of Gina. So you have the Blum Lumber Company. Again, this is all hand striped.
This is silly. The level of detail in 1930.
Yep. Now, this is crazy. And then hand painted. Now, imagine a humid basement in New Orleans. Okay, the humidity is 100% on a good day. So these buildings went through a lot. They were in the basement for roughly the layout started in 38 and was taken down in 57. So this deterioration here is silverfish. Frank smoked like a chimney. So the sky was probably blue many days out of the year. And probably many of his club members, he had club members, numbering 8 to 10 people that would come over and run the layout with him. So these have had a lot of exposure to nicotine, a lot of exposure to high humidity. And that was just when they were new. Then they had quite a triple. But here's the beautiful Richmond Barrel Company, again, all hand striped.
Wow.
Andy, this is insane.
It's so good.
Depending where it was on the layout, because you're only going to get seen when you come around to the back, nothing. Absolutely
Just
nothing.
Plain. Yeah.
Plain, because no one's ever going to see it. So Frank was very conscious of where it was going to be on the layout. And depending on, like, Here's a photo of the layout showing Blum. So you only had the front portion that was finished. So this area is finished, but then you come around back and absolutely nothing again. Now the layout in Frank's basement was 3 feet off the ground. So you were hovering above it. So all the photos, he got really low down to make sure everything looked just like it was supposed to, like a realistic town. Because when you're 6 feet high looking down, that's not all that impressive. But when you come down here and you get really close, and he would put false backgrounds behind for the photographs. And depending on who the article was going to be for, if it was Lionel based for Model Builder, he put Lionel trains in the article. If it was more of a craftsman, they would have more scale trains. This is a coal dump, the golf coal and hopper. So here's how it was on the layout. And
sure.
So then we come around here. Then his big town was Fillmore. So all these are hand painted backdrops. This is kind of has the New Orleans flavor with that kind of New Orleans type of architecture.
Oh, that's so cool.
The posters that he put in with all kind of double entendres. Humor. Lots of humor. Big freight house here. And Fillmore had very little real estate. So you had a couple tracks up front and then everything else were these false fronts. And then again, more all this hand painted towns that he did. And there's your swanky coffee.
Yeah, swanky coffee.
So, and then when he got the second layout starting in end of 40, he added a Raymondale, and he really went to town on some of the buildings. So this is not only hand painted, but that's added moss, and you can see the etch marks for the individual bricks. So it's his work is really incredible. Here's the small parts company. Again, all hand striped, hand painted, individual shingles.
It's
addition, all hand done. Original sign, which is hand painted. I mean, they're just absolutely works of art. And then he had little signs around the layout that would kind of advent what he was doing. Here we have the cattle yard. We'll go through here.
So
there's the Rangel Brass Works.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Oh no. I was just gonna say, like, when Chris does, a Delta Lines car, schmaltz maltz. I like that.
Yeah.
but so like after looking at this, and I have the one Delta Lines car here, another one on order. I have a greater appreciation for the origins of this railroad, and just
he was really a trendsetter with the operations, and he was able to do in his articles convey in a way that the common man could understand. He didn't take the high hand at all. He was able to produce articles that everyone could read and could explain and could try themselves at. They felt comfortable. By the time you got to like John Allen, you just got blown away because your layout's supposed to have scenery from the floor to the ceiling. And I think it intimidated people. But Frank Ellison was very approachable with his work. So this town here is Villa Vista. So here's the town here.
Wow.
And you can see the various buildings. Yeah, this is on the layout.
Oh my
and then
goodness.
So down here you have the dairy. There's the dairy. Here you have the Dick's Cafe, Dick's Cafe. The backdrops here. So again, these are all just cardboard, and many times they're just used signs. So sometimes there's lettering on the background, and then he just layers them. So
that's
here's
a really cool idea.
Old used sign that he's basically cut up, and then you layer it to get you that effect.
I've got to tell you, watching, all of my exposure and most of our exposure is the black and white photographs, and to see these pieces in color, just wow! It's like this is as impressive and prolific as he was, and as awe-inspiring as his articles were. Nobody got to see this in color, and thank you for making sure that these did not end up in a dumpster somewhere, because what you just did, pointing the camera at the scene in black and white and then showing the real piece is it's a big deal. So thank you for that.
Sure. In the back here, this is one of the original pieces you did from 38, 39. That's an operating coal tipple. So I have a video up on my YouTube channel. Leonard Williams, my legal name. And you'll see this one operational, but he had it on his layout starting in 38, 39. Now, one of his articles covered peddler freight. So you have the steam engine. He used a lot of fairly non-exotic trains. So his trains were basically approachable. So here is the Magao engine. This is not the same as the peddler freight, but it's a model just like it. This was introduced in 1940, came out of Huntington, Indiana. Cast bronze. It was their bottom end train, so this was around $50 for a kit. So again, he used things that people could use and build up and to be able to replicate what they saw in the article. This is a copy of the Chappelle station. I don't have the original one, but there's a copy of the Chappelle station, which is, of course, a copy of the Cincinnati Union Terminal. We'll go around the furnace, and we'll go over here to Donaldson. So we have the Spot Cash Building, Hamburglar, and the Quicksand and Gravel. And then back here we have the original Oblong Box Company.
Oh, sure enough.
And again, you look at the detail here. I'm hoping the camera picks it up. This is
It
all
is.
just hand. It's all just hand striped, hand lettered. Bricks. Here's haphazard packing. Again, all striped. Now Donaldson, all the buildings in Donaldson, because Donaldson was a kind of a spit, so it was a very narrow part of the layout, but you would be able to see it on both sides. So these buildings are finished on all sides. This one just has a brick paper. But the addition to the Donaldson Canning Company, that's all hand striped and hand lettered. Back up there's from Gina. He did
Andy,
use.
go ahead. Sorry.
This paste he used in Donaldson. This is Scalecraft. Scalecraft. Elliot Donnelly was in the printing industry, and so he made cutouts for a couple buildings, including the station. And Frank used this in Donaldson. Let's see. Oh, I'll go over here. So here we have again the black and white of Quicksand. And there's the reality of it there.
That structure just to the right of the trestle, just that one right there, the hamburger.
Yep.
Doesn't some of these things remind you of some of the Walters kits that came out in the early start of the Cornerstone series?
Yeah.
Don't they? I mean, I'm like looking at this. I'm like, wait a minute. That looks like an old Cornerstone kit. And wait, like if you look back at that,
you wonder where they got their inspiration from.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sitting here looking at this. Carrie, if you look at that one, like shallow relief of the town hall right back there. Like that looks like Main Street USA #1.
Serve my line of bologna.
Yeah, I know that's awesome. Doesn't that look like that could be the inspiration for Main Street USA version 1? I mean, I keep on looking at this stuff and I'm like, well, that's part of a Walters kit. They had to have been like getting inspiration from this. Yeah, the Haphazard Packing Company, that looks like one of their kits.
Mm.
You know, I mean, it's I'm just saying, like the early Walters Cornerstone, well, it just reminded me of this, but I mean, not anything like this.
And so Mike and I, you know, we're chatting off to the side, and our minds are just absolutely blown away.
This is incredible. I just cannot, the amount of detail.
So this is the fishing shack here. There it is. Still survives.
Oh my gosh. Now,
wow.
Now to tie it back to what Dennis was presenting earlier. So Dennis, you have some of these kits for sale. So if I wanted to go out and buy one and have a little bit of Frank Ellison, you know, history on my layout, some of these buildings are for sale on your website, right?
Oh yeah. I have Sankey Wanky. I also have
I love Sankey Wanky.
That's genius. I mean, how long ago did he do that? And here we are in 2025 laughing at his joke.
Yeah.
Right?
And I have Richmond Packing, but I don't have the Oblong Box Company is sold out. And I do have Haphazard. So I've got 3 out of the 4 that I've done so far. 3 out of the 4 are available.
How's that used cars?
How's that used car?
How's that?
How's that?
Good as new cars.
He used HO scale road ties strips. Did he not, Kerry? Aren't those HO tie strips?
Yeah.
Probably from Midland or something like that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Part of Donaldson. Here's the Gargle.
Gargle oil.
Yeah. So I don't have all of it.
You do have all of it, or you don't have all of it?
No, I don't have all of it.
Oh.
So here's the main building. That's gone. But the other building's back here. So that one there is that one right there. And this little one here is here. And then the tanks are back here. And there's a couple other that are rather bad shape that I'll put together down the road.
What, so, if you don't mind me asking, what happened to the primary building, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, now we need to talk about what happened to the layout. Forget about that building. So Frank Ellison's wife, Nellie, passes away in 1955. And Frank gets kind of depressed, saddened, melancholy, and the railroad continues on for another year, and then he decides to sell the house. So he sells the house, moves in with one of his daughters, but he has arrangements with the new owner that the layout can remain intact for about another year. So the club still comes, and they still have running sessions, but with less regularity. So that's 1957. Then they disassemble it, and this is where it gets a little foggy, but it gets disassembled and put in a gentleman's name by the name of Manny's garage or shed in the back or something like that, but it basically goes into storage. Whether or not 100% of it goes into storage, or it was a club, so there's a group of folks. So other people had pieces themselves, so maybe they took those back, but a majority of it all went into storage, and it stayed into storage roughly until 1962. Frank had some eye problems, So he goes up to Boston, staying with either a son or a daughter of his. He had 8 children. And goes to the ophthalmologist, and Dr. Sachs is the ophthalmologist. And so receptionist says, your next patient's here, Frank Ellison. And Dr. Sachs goes, who? Frank Ellison. And he goes, who? So he introduces himself that, he's a big train guy and loves his work and that sort of thing. They hit it off really well. So Dr. Sachs inquires regarding the whereabouts of Delta Lines. He goes, oh, it's in storage down in New Orleans. Huh. You want to sell it? Yeah. So they contact Manny, and Dr. Sachs makes an arrangement to purchase whatever there is of Delta Lines. At that point, I don't know what was all there, whether it was the entire layout, whether it was all the buildings, whether it was all the trains, what it was, but whatever Manny had was sold to Dr. Sachs. It all gets boxed up and put into a truck, and off it goes to Boston. On its way to Boston, let's call the truck 12'8". They decided to go underneath a viaduct that was 11'8". So there was some roof problem at the hit, and of course it was during a rainstorm. So
oh boy.
Then they get another truck where they transfer it from one place to the other. One truck to the other, and then it goes back up into storage up in Boston. How much was damaged at the time, we don't know. Again, how much was transferred? I don't know if Dr. Sachs had any of it on display or if it all just went into storage. I can't tell you that. But it all went up to the Boston area, whatever there was of it. Then at some point, Dr. Sachs decides to move down to Florida. So everything or part of it is boxed up and taken down to Florida with him. And he's part of a club down there where some of the pieces are put on display. Can you still see this or not?
Yeah. Mike left
okay,
Mike left the show, and I had to add him back.
Yep. Sorry.
Okay. So it all goes or a majority of it goes to Florida. What Dr. Sachs does with it, I don't know. Some of it gets on display, some of it does not. And then apparently he gets ill. This is around 91. And he decides he's going to sell off Delta Lines, or a good portion of it. So he goes to the O-Scale show, I believe in Maryland. This is about June of 91, with his car or truck full of Delta Lines. And apparently sales don't go all that well. So he makes a deal with a gentleman by the name of Palmer Lumbrum from Rochester. And Palmer agrees to buy everything he's brought, either at the end of the show or the stuff that he can't sell. And Palmer's going to put it on a layout. Palmer's going to do something with it in beautiful Rochester. So a good pile of the stuff goes up to Rochester, never to be seen from again until last summer. And then the rest of the stuff, Dr. Sachs still has down in Florida. Dr. Sachs passes away that fall, and his widow puts everything up for auction with Maurer in Pennsylvania. So Maurer drives down to Florida, picks up everything, and then takes it to their auction in 92. And everyone kind of assumed that everything that was at the Maurer auction, here's a photo of the Maurer auction. Everyone kind of assumed that whatever was at the Maurer auction was all there was left of Delta Lines. No one knew about the whole Palmer thing. So when this auction went through, Fred Dole was able to purchase a good share of Raymondale. They auctioned off the town. So Fred Dole paid $1,100 for Raymondale in 1992. The rest of the pieces went to various other people around the country. And then Fred was able to acquire a few more pieces, and then Fred passed away, and I was very fortunate to be able to buy Fred's items. And then last summer, I was contacted, did I want some more Delta lines? I said, yes, thank you. So I was very fortunate to be able to purchase everything that, or at least the items that were removed from Palmer Lumbums up in Rochester that had been separated from the stuff. So an example, Chick Sales here, Richmond Packing, all that went with Fred Dull. But
wow,
El Ropo Cigars was not in that grouping. So Fred Dull had a copy made of that. This was in the grouping that went up to Rochester, along with that backdrop back there. But this piece went to Fred. That piece went to Fred. The station was separated, but Fred was able to get that. The Ford Pottery, that went to Fred, but the kiln back there, that went to Rochester. The little cottages, those went to Rochester. So it basically everything got split up. The small parts company, that went to Rochester. We thought that was lost, but that surfaced. Swanky went to Fred. A lot of these backdrops were up in Rochester that no one knew about, including the freight house. That was up in Rochester. Fred had that for some reason. So, and then the used car lot, that went to Rochester. So it's amazing. A lot of the stuff that went to Rochester, like the rolling stock was still wrapped up in 1962 newspaper. So whether or not it was ever unpacked, whether or not it was ever saw the light of day at any point, we don't know. But I was very fortunate to be able to acquire some of the cars that went to Rochester. So here's Lady Nell. Nellie was Frank's wife. This is a cast aluminum Alexander car dating from the mid-30s.
Cast aluminum,
hand lettered. And then here's another cast aluminum hand lettered Alexander car, the diner. And then the other cars that we have are JC cars. So these cars were the cheapest cars you could buy. So Frank was pretty much all about the atmosphere and the theatrics of the trains and running them at scale speed and from point to point and stopping at stations. Not so much buying the best and most expensive trains you could buy. And I was fortunate to be able to get a original Delta Lines engine here. This is a Mikado made by Heinz. This was a post-war piece. This first introduced at the end of 1946.
Oh.
So, and we're running outside third rail. So nothing more realistic than seeing electric sweeps coming out of a steam engine and also on your tender here. And your track work here, you have, of course, your conventional two rails. And now you have a raised third rail, and that's where you get your juice from. Initially, when the scale world started in 1926, they were still running with center third rail. Well, that just was not going to cut it. So Milton Cronkite decided to move the rail from the inside to the outside, starting in the end of 1928. And that became all the rage, because if you were in the New York area, you saw the outside third rail used in New Haven, New York, Pennsylvania, whatever. There was a lot of railroads that used outside third rail, so that was acceptable. Steam engines, not so much, but you saw a lot of electrics with the outside third rail, so that was cool until really 1937, when Elliott Donnelly introduced his 00 line, which brought out two rail, and they had advanced the insulation quality so that two rail became all the rage. Not so much for O scale until 1939, but after that it was all pretty much two rail. But Frank started with outside third rail and kept outside third rail. So without further ado, off you go.
No way.
Wow. That's so cool.
Okay. We'll take the long way around here.
Wow.
This is an original Doodle Bug, the Bumblebee. Walther kit introduced in 38. But that is the original Bumblebee. Here's another express reefer from Delta Lines. This is a reefer from Delta Lines. That's the car that was introduced by NRA in 1982 when they were honoring Frank Ellison. So here we have our Delta Lines Express running through Raymondale.
I'll be darned. So that's almost 100 years old.
Yeah, well, the engine's from 40, late 46. The cars are probably from early 40 or late 38, 39.
Wow.
Let's
so 85 years old.
I hope you took your Dramamine. Okay, here we come across. And we'll run through Donaldson. So it's the trains are fairly indestructible, so they'll last a very long time. They were, when I found the cars, none of them had trucks. They did have the couplers. He was running with dummy couplers.
Sure.
Wow.
This is
I don't know what truck originally. Again, there's Lady Nell chasing out all the boys out of her house so she can get some sleep. What else can we say here? You'll see this caboose commonly in many of Frank's articles. This is a Hawk kit. Why he was running a Denver, Rio Grande, and Western caboose in New Orleans is a question we can't answer, but you'll see that in many of his articles. Let's see. Oh, I just missed it going through Chappelle. There's that.
Kerry, if you were to have to guess, how much stuff is still out there to be found?
Well, I know of certainly a number of pieces. The original Chappelle station still out there. The Carter's liver pills, that's still out there. Dodd Dam, that's still out there. So there's still a number of pieces that exist. So really what got destroyed in the truck when they transferred everything in the pouring rain, and the story gets better down the line that they put the huge battery power packs on top of everything to crush everything. I don't think so. It looks pretty uncrushed to me. So how much got transferred? I don't know. There's supposed to be some, I've heard rumors, there's part of the layout that might still be intact up in on the East Coast somewhere, but I don't know of that. There is a small portion of the layout. One of the bridges still exists. That was sold at the auction, but that was the only part of the quote layout that was sold at the power auction. And there's a few other droppings of little buildings here or there. Everything from the Mauer auction, I have probably about 70% of what was at the Mauer auction. Some of more of the additional backdrops from Fillmore exist. Supposedly the original Fillmore station was destroyed, but again, hopefully in time, maybe they'll be proven incorrect. It'd be nice if there was another pile like Palmer, Lindblom's be found to be able to find all these pieces, but we'll see in time. Here, excuse my hook, but we'll put the doodle bug on, and you can see the doodle bug run.
The Bumblebee. I'll be darned.
Let go. Now, Frank did not approve of the big hook.
No.
No, he was not. He didn't play that way. He liked scale time and pretty much an authoritarian regarding how things were to be done. The big hook was frowned upon. So hold on a second.
The old 050.
This is absolutely insane. Just the history of it's like looking into a looking glass. The history of the railroad.
Give you some juice and see where you want to go.
Yeah, it's pretty great, isn't it?
This is amazing.
There it goes.
There goes the bumblebee. We'll catch it on the other side.
Wow.
Did you have to do much work to get them to run, or were they already running?
You basically get any of these things that have never run for the last since before I was born, and you just oil them up, clean them up, tell them you love them, and
there they go.
Then they go.
Yeah. Nothing like the old technology.
Yeah. There we go. Yeah, so it's just, I mean, with a camera, of course, it's very shy, but nonetheless, it seems to be doing okay.
It seems to be the just how model railroads work in general. You put anything on a camera and it just decides to stop.
Right.
I can almost smell like the ozone coming off of those.
We don't do DC. We don't do sound.
Like you can, like I can just smell that from here. That's awesome.
The capacitor's heating up.
Yeah, Jeff Rich. He says he can smell the ozone all the way here, Tennessee.
Carrie, did you study much of or know much about Frank's experience as a vaudeville performer and how that might have influenced what he created here that we're looking at?
Apparently, he was big into the scenery of the vaudevillian period, so very comfortable with painting and making do and making sure that whatever you saw at the stage was relevant, and everything that could be seen from the side wings had no relevance at all. So why he started doing articles about trains, I don't really know. He did the standard gauge stuff. So there were, and he wrote under many pseudonyms. So there's a lot of articles that do not have his name, that are but are his layout during the model builder period. So they didn't. Lionel didn't want to have it look like there were really only two writers for the entire magazine. Even though if you looked at the trains, you go, that layout looks awfully familiar from last article. But nonetheless, that's it. So unfortunately, Frank passed away in '64. So he was a total of 77 years old when he passed away. So here's an example of splitting the hairs. This came from Fred Dull, the A-truss, but the supports for it came from Frank Palmer Lumblum. So whoever was taking the layout apart, saved every little part. I mean, how does this survive?
Yeah.
How does any of this survive? So it's pretty amazing. But as you can see, this takes a fair amount of real estate to really spread out. I didn't really intend on that, but oh well, this is fun. So now with the addition of the stuff that came in last year from Palmer, I'm going to have to kind of rethink how everything goes, because originally I just had Donaldson over there in the corner, and that's not really doing it justice. So I'm going to have to rethink how I can display it a little better. Maybe I'll stick Gina back in the corner there. And then Fillmore probably is going to stay about here. But it's going to be a fun process to integrate it all and to make it make a little more sense. And maybe add a tree and some grass or something like that, and not just have a plywood central.
Carrie,
Thank you very much. Any questions? I'll happily try to answer.
Sure.
Yeah, Carrie, I got a question for you. And this is probably a question you may have been asked or maybe not, but in the event that something unfortunate happens to you, or when the day comes that this needs to go someplace else, are there already plans and arrangements being made to continue the Delta Line's legacy with someone else? Is this stuff, because this stuff has got to stay being preserved. This is model railroad, royalty here.
Well, it's the origins of it.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
A lot of things that modelers are doing today started directly with Frank Ellison. You can see it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
I agree. So, I mean, are there
I have had open houses during the March meet where we run the layout. So I'll try to keep doing that to get expose the layout and Frank's work to new eyes and new blood.
When we did our first V&O car, we worked with Alan McClellan when we did the V&O tank car. And as part of that conversation, he talked about how it was Frank Ellison and the Delta Lines that inspired him to get into it and freelance the V&O that we know. And it's connections like that when you really start looking at it, the thought that he's the grandfather or godfather of it. There are greats amongst him, but the volume of people that he inspired, that became people that inspired the generation that we are now, celebrating it at home shops that are freelancing today. It really, looking at this, it's there's a lot of gravity there to the history of the hobby.
Yeah. Super cool. This has been fantastic. I mean, and just to tie it all back, right, to the offerings that you have coming out, Chris, too, like it adds that, I don't know, just that it enriches the experience for me, right? Because now I can say that, this Delta Lines car that I have, right, essentially originated from, the grandfather of model railroading, so to speak. So this is incredible, and thank you for organizing this. When Chris and Doug come on the show, Mike and I do very little work. It should be noted that they get a lot of credit for putting this together, and
we got nothing to do with this.
We're just the ones who we're just the ones who kind of fumble around in the dark and click buttons and try to keep the show up and running. So from our standpoint, Chris, you've done a fantastic job, essentially not just talking about the home shops offering, but telling a story tonight. Tonight we told a story, right? And with the work that the water train, that was it kind of blew my mind to begin with, in its own right. But then with Dennis, and how his, essentially artwork that he puts together is, helping preserve the legacy of Frank Ellison and some of the stuff that, the kits and the buildings that he's done. And then of course we have Carrie, who's, legitimately preserving, the original stuff. This is really, it brings a lot more meaning to what you guys are doing at home shops than just slapping a couple logos on a car. And it means a lot to me anyway. So thank you for what you guys are doing.
I appreciate that, and thank you guys for providing the platform. Our team had talked about maybe reaching out and doing this when we came out with that first Delta Lines car, and I thought maybe this would be a little bit more impactful when we've got a couple of the industry cars and a few other things to really paint the picture that this isn't just a Delta Lines car. This is this man, this legacy, and all of these pieces. If we just threw out the Gargle oil car without any explanation, that's what the heck is that, right? It's a silly name on a car, but having seen, and we got a chuckle out of many of the names. He's a theatrical performer, right? And now everybody will look at the Gargle oil car through a different lens, the lens of history. And I think that why in the world would this Home Shops team put that on the side of a tank car, right? And I think this story, for folks that are interested in the history and this is one of those rabbit holes where once you get a peek into it, you want to know what else is there. And I did throw something up to share real quick, and it's just the full text of the articles. And what you didn't see in the screenshot beginning was the scroll bar, right? But a country milk station. I mean, from the if you go, these are all the articles that he penned. And Carrie, you mentioned the pseudonames. This compendium here of works, are those just the ones that are penned by Frank Ellison, or do these include ones that were done under pseudonym?
It depends if you have the articles that start in 32 or not.
No.
There's enough. The NRMA put out a list in 82, which has all of them starting in 32 with all the pseudonyms.
Okay.
It was put together by Lou Redmond.
And so 32, I mean, we're almost 2032. But when you look at the blueprint, by the time, hopefully, by the time we've brought out our 10th or 15th car and the Gargle oil and the Carter's Little River Mills cars are collector's items. It'll be, what's the next Home Shops offering going to be for Frank Ellison? Because we're as a freelancer myself, the Texas and Great Northern, I feel like that Carter's Little River Mills hopper has been in a number of videos, and it's just rolling along right there, right behind my my green and white ST40-2s, and it looks like it belongs on that train. But I know that's a little nod from Frank Ellison. It means something when it's in the train, and hopefully we're doing his legacy right with the products that we put out, because we do go and find the articles and do the research and meet folks like you guys who can connect some of the dots and paint it. So, and another connection for me personally, I grew up in New Orleans. I grew up in the Lakeview neighborhood. My grandparents lived on Colbert Street, just a few blocks from where he was. I lived on Milne Street, which is a block over from Colbert. That's where my family lived. And it's really growing up in New Orleans, Frank Ellison was not on my radar. I was going to the New Orleans terminal, watching trains, and I was familiar with the Crescent lines and the Club Railroad and whatnot. But fast forward to this point in my life, and we've got the Home Shops thing going on, and I look back, and my gosh, 50 years before I was railroading, this guy did this and started this, just a few blocks from where I grew up. It's just, it means something to me to be able to put that out there. So, this is a big deal.
Yeah, it is.
Thank you very much for having me on. There is the Facebook site, which has a number of Frank's articles in the under articles that are filed there, so you can go look at the original articles. And I posted a lot of photos over the last 4 or 5 years as I acquire pieces, and also links to videos on my YouTube channel where I have all the Frank Delta line items running.
So if I were to look for, what am I looking for on Facebook, Gary?
Delta Line Friends, I believe.
Yes, Delta Line Friends.
Okay.
And my YouTube channel, Leonard Williams.
Yeah. Leonard Williams?
Leonard Williams, yep.
Okay, let me just see if I can't grab that. Leonard. Yeah, because there's been a bunch of people in the chat. Just where can I find more information about this? So here I got look at these. Okay, some of these YouTube videos are insane. Well, I just subscribed to that. All right. That was pretty simple. It looks like your call sign is at Vintage Model Trains.
Yes, that's correct. Yep.
So I'm going to put that in the chat, everybody, and then I will get the stuff updated in the show notes. I see we got Dennis here. He's got, looks like a DVD up there.
Toy Train Digital Archive. This was done by, you can't get these anymore. This guy did this one. He did the Lionel magazine, which would have all of those articles that Carrie is talking about. And then he did the Model Builders that also had all of these articles that are available that Frank did. So if you can find this online, they can't build he can't do it anymore because he had a deal with Lionel, and Lionel said you can't do them anymore. They decided not to let him reproduce these, and these are all well done. He basically digitized original magazines painstakingly, page by page, and they're all in really fairly good shape. And I have all of this.
This is super cool.
In Roger Karp's book, where he talks about the best of Model Builder, there are 2 articles in there. The only author that has 2 articles on by Frank Ellison about his Delta line. So he does have a leg up on other people in there.
That's awesome. Let's see here. So this is a lot for me to take in tonight. This was really good.
Yeah,
I'm knocking the rust off too of my poor production quality. So I'm trying to manage a couple things back here. But I guess what we'll do is we'll do the awkward around the horn here, and I think we'll tie down for tonight. But I guess, Chris, this was a really, really outstanding show. I guess, first of all, thank you for putting it all together. It's really been good. I guess, do you or Doug have any final notes or things that we missed? Or maybe if you got some merchandise that we want to talk about or something of that nature. Do you just want to maybe give us your final thoughts before we tie down?
Doug, I'll let you go.
I can't unmute my mic.
I can hear you now.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Well, my screen's frozen up, but if you can hear me, this has been a tremendous journey, history-wise, from back then to now, and having had the opportunity to work with Chris and our team, as he mentioned, on some of these projects, to see the articles and to see the photographs in black and white, and now to see the items, it's amazing. And again, Andy and Mike, thanks so much for your platform where we get to interact with fellow modelers and talk about these subjects. And as I've always said to both of you, thanks for a realistically positive platform where we can interact and share information.
Yeah, well, it's been a fun journey, Doug, and I absolutely love it, and I love what you guys are doing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Dennis, Carrie, you guys are new to the section crew in a manner of speaking. Any final things that we want to impart with the audience before we close up for tonight?
No, just you want to check me out, go to Brennan'sModelRR.com, and I'm always available. I mean, if I'm not available, you can reach me by email. And I have a phone number, but I don't put that on my website because you get a lot of spam crap.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
no, I hear you there. So I got that up here on screen. Brennan's modelrailroad.com or rr.com. And then I was perusing their wares while the show was going on, just like I do with the home shops. But those Frank Ellison tribute buildings are really cool.
well, thank
Dennis. And then sharing that bit of art with us tonight that you did with the New York Central Switcher and the Oblong Box Company. I think that was a masterpiece.
you.
On Dennis's website, he's got a gallery. I think it was
Mhm.
covers. That's
Yeah.
worth looking at
Yeah,
Yes, it
there's
is.
as well.
and there's more that I still have yet to put up there, but yeah, you can see. I don't think I have the one that you saw tonight up there, and there's a couple others that have some really cool shots that I would love to that you guys would really like to see, I think, at some point. So maybe we could do a show, talk about photography.
I think it's a good idea.
That's a great idea.
Dennis, if you would be willing to come back on the show, I'm speaking for Mike here, but I'm sure we would love to have you back on.
I'd be happy to.
Awesome.
So, yeah, just we'll talk.
All right. Sounds good. What?
Okay.
Nothing. No, we're good.
We're good?
We're
Yeah,
good.
we're good. I'm going to go to bed. I got to go work on a layout tomorrow. So
There you go. Good luck. Carrie, anything else to add before we do the drawing and head out?
No, thank you very much for the opportunity to spread the good word of Delta Lines and Frank Ellison's work. We'll try to keep it alive for next generation.
Well, thank you so much, Carrie, for
thank you,
giving
Carrie.
us the tour tonight.
Yeah, thank you,
Certainly.
Carrie.
Yeah.
Pleasure.
All right, guys. I'm going to sign off.
All right,
Thanks,
Dennis.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so
Thanks,
much.
Dennis.
All right.
Take care, Dennis.
Yep. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. All right. So we promised you guys a giveaway tonight. So if you put #collector in the comments tonight, Tony Cook's got the the annual HO Collector magazine that he'll be sending your way. So without any further dilly-dallying, we'll do the drawing right here. See who our big winner is tonight. Oh, BNSF Fall River Division. Da, 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 da. I think that's Mr. John Parker. John, if you are out there still, give me a direct message or an email so I can get your information information over to Tony Cook, and he'll have that sent to you post haste. So congratulations. And thank you for tuning in this evening. So Mike,
Yes.
last go around here, what do you say?
I got nothing. I can't. I don't know where do you start? Where do you start? I mean, this is beyond going back into. I mean, this is like the Big Bang Theory of the model railroad world, right? I mean, in all honesty, it is. This is like where things started, and and it was just the absolute level of detail that we've seen tonight, and just in our hobby, we always think of, we have to get right down to absolute specifics about stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And half of the buildings, they're 2 or 3 sided buildings. You know what I mean? They're full structures, but you only see what, and the hand drawn details that when you stand back and you take a look at it from that 3-foot level, you wouldn't be able to know that's just a hand drawn shingle or a siding or something. This just absolute artwork and craftsmanship on a level that I think has been lost through time, and hopefully we maybe helped bring it back to some appreciation tonight, because this was phenomenal. This blew my mind, absolutely phenomenal. That's all I can say. And thank you, Chris and Doug, for working your magic as well as you always do, not just with the car stuff. That stuff goes without saying, but I mean, just the legwork it took for you guys to kind of gather all this together and make the show, help us make the show what it was. Thank you very, very much. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Yeah, we're getting a lot of great comments in there, and a couple questions. We'll do little admin work here. So next podcast is going to be in 2 weeks. Mike and I are back on our normal schedule
Thursday,
but we're gonna do a Thursday night jobby.
Right? Isn't that what we were doing before?
We were doing Thursdays. Yeah. So
I better check to make sure I got that. Oh, yeah.
Well, we're going to be back on our normal schedule. We got some pretty interesting shows lined up. We're going to be touching a lot of modeling projects, talking to some people, and then we're going to steal Scott Thornton's idea about focusing on a railroad prototype and talking about that. So that's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So instead of the Iowa Interstate, we're going to bring in a different mafia associated to a different road name and have them tell us all about their secret society.
No.
Since you mentioned that, Scott Thornton designed our Freelance Forum logo, which, by the way, we have on merch available.
Here, let's
Scott designed. He designed our primary logo, and when we decided to do this, we're like, we need to get a Freelance Forum logo, something to brand that. And of course, we went right back to Scott, and he came up with that. So it's another great asset to what we do.
Yeah. So Chris, I'll save the last words for you tonight. Anything that you want to say before we sign off?
Just thank you. This story's been there, and my vision is to make these pages of history accessible to folks who are modelers, and there's a lot of potential projects, and if the Gargle oil cars sit on the shelf for a few years, that'll slow that down, but it's a vision of mine to some of these names that you saw on the sides of buildings to bring those to life in the classy way that if you're not giving it a deep thought, it looks like it fits right in with everything, but it's a little nod to the past and the origins of the man was born in 1887, right? There's not a whole lot of railroading that existed before he was born, let alone it's just interesting to see how close and not far removed it really is, but it is a time. So thank you for letting us tell the story, and hopefully bring it to enough people's attention that it makes more of these projects viable. So thank you.
Of course. Yeah. And like I Mike and I always say, you guys are always welcome here on the second section. You guys have a standing invitation, so to speak.
You got a set of keys to the office is what you got.
That's right. You guys do. So be sure to check out Home Shop's .net and see what we've been talking about tonight with the Delta Lines cars, and then the Gargle oil and the water train stuff. I think that's some really cool stuff, again, coming from home shops. And again, I made a little order this evening while we were talking on the show. So really, really excited to see these cars running around on the Mascoutin Valley Railroad. We'll be back in 2 weeks with another show. And if you guys haven't yet, check us out on Facebook at Second Section Podcast. We got a great community of modelers that are coming together, sharing ideas, sharing thoughts about the hobby. And it's a great place to keep up to date on what's going on with the podcast. So for Chris, Doug, Carrie, myself, and Mike, and Dennis and Tony, I guess, Mike, what do we always say here at the Second Section?
Just keep modeling.
That's right. Thanks, guys. Good night.
Good night.